You're old as the earth, and yet you thought I would truly fall for your offer, he chuckled. I'm surprised you fell for my trap. I will kill you for this. Not if I kill you first. Hey everybody, this is Kat.
And this is Rachel.
And you're listening to the Smut Peddlers podcast, a show for people who love books, especially when there's smut. We discuss our likes, our dislikes, and share all our favorite moments with you.
Today we're talking about Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas, so grab your favorite beverage and get ready to burn with us. This is part 7 of Kingdom of Ash. We've been reading in the romantic order. We're going to cover chapters 73 to 86.
A little recap just so we know where everyone is. Nesryn, Chaol, Aelin, Rowan, Gavriel, Iroh et al. They're all together now, so it's fine. But they have made it to the Ferian Gap. Nesryn has given word back that, hey, there ain't nobody here. So that's a little concerning. We have no witches, no wyverns, just a couple wyvern handlers that are remaining at the Ferian Gap. So, fingers crossed, the witches are going to Manon. Because, you know, we want Manon to be the best thing ever. It's gonna be great. Aedion, Lysandra, Wren, Ansel, Silent Assassins, all of them, they've made it to Orynth, thanks to Rolfe appearing with his fire lances and his Mycenians. So they have finally made it to Orynth. They were able to fall back. They have a little bit more people with them. Unfortunately, coming over the hill towards them still are valg soldiers at, about 100k deep. Not great. Lots of them. So
they're just sitting waiting to be destroyed.
With the 100,000, soldiers coming their way, they're just right now sitting ducks in Orynth, which is not ideal. And then let's go over to Dorian and Manon.
Just Dorian.
Yeah. Well, Dorian leaves Manon to go to Morath. So he went over there. Manon is with the witches. She is headed towards Terracin. She is aiding in the call that she received. The call went out for all the Krakens to go. We had Krakens flying from everywhere to come to aid their queen, Manon, who we love so much. And then Dorian was like, okay, guys, I'm going to go to Morath. This is great. So then Dorian's over in Morath.
I'm going to go now.
And the other person that's also at Morath is Maeve, our lovely valg queen, who we're terrified of. We don't love her too much. But Dorian has agreed to work with Maeve. He's going to work with her, and they're going to get married, and they're going to have a marriage of convenience. No, just kidding.
Fuck no. I'm out. Close book. Throw in fire. Good. Bye.
No,
I'm good. Thank you.
Essentially agree as like a truce almost to get married.
It's an alliance.
So that they're gonna have an alliance. They're gonna get married. It's gonna be fine. Yeah. So we love that. We love that for us.
No, we don't. That is where we pick up, though.
Yeah. We pick
up with Dorian in Morath, working with Maeve. Not as begrudgingly as we'd like. But they do work together. He searches the castle while Maeve is doing whatever things she does with Erewhon.
Yeah, she's essentially like keeping him distracted.
To him. Yeah.
Trying to get him to trust her.
Yeah. He is got full control of his transformation magic, turning into just anything and anything at any given time, whenever he wants, with like no problems whatsoever. He turns into a cat and a cockroach and a bat and a gnat, or a fly, or something. A fly and then a gnat. And just can get anywhere that he needs or wants, which is fantastic. He searches all this time he is searching for the word key. He senses it every once in a while, but like can either never catch up to it, or like he senses it and like goes to kind of go after it and then loses track of it. He finds, but like can't figure out like where it is or where it's located in the castle, because it's like almost moving around.
He either thinks it's like on Erewhon's person and he's keeping it close to him, and so as Erewhon moves about the castle, it is also moving with him.
Because he does sense it near him a couple of times.
Yeah, he also senses it in Erewhon's like quarters, so he kind of like can't get in there because there's guards, and even I think he describes it as like there's not even a crack in the door for him to like be able to like scurry through as like a creature of some kind. So it's either like his two guesses right now is Erewhon either is keeping it on him, or it's in Erewhon's like quarters and he can't get in there.
Yeah.
So he's still just trying to find it.
He still sees Iron Teeth witches around. He sees valg and soldiers around. Like, it is a well guarded location. Also, they don't just like, Dorian doesn't describe like the Iron Teeth witches that are there, but I would just hope that they're like the ones that would have been closest to like the matron, because otherwise they're still there. Just leave. Go help Manon. So I hope that they're the ones that are just real loyal to the grandma stuff, because I don't want them to be there anymore.
Yeah, my assumption was that it was like not Petra, but the other bitch. We like Petra. Iskra. Yeah.
My brain kept wanting to say Irene, but different. I was like, yeah, yep.
Technically,
that's correct.
Yes, different. Definitely not Irene. But yeah, Iskra, like the Yellow Legs group, we don't love them.
Yeah.
Blue Bloods, they have a heart, sort of.
They have
at least
redemption.
Petra does. Yeah. We're hoping
possibility
that
of redemption.
Themselves. Yeah. Yellow Legs, I don't think that they're ever going to, just because Iskra, and then now Manon has beheaded her mother or grandmother, so like,
yeah,
that might not be great. But so likely Iskra and her posse, who is the like lesser 13, essentially.
Yeah. They can go.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
So in his like scurrying, he does make it down kind of towards, we know that Kaltain like exploded a big section of like the dungeons and all of that.
Yeah.
But we also know that like the entirety of Morath obviously didn't implode, because there are still sections that are functioning. So
yeah,
Dorian finds another section that's very similar to like where the like catacomb / dungeony areas that Kaltain kept going to, and he senses kind of a darker magic when he goes down there. So similar to the sensation he would get around like Erewhon's chambers, he's getting a similar thing. So he's like, well, maybe that was just like because Erewhon was in his chambers, so I was getting this weird sensation that like maybe the word key is here. So he thinks that it's potentially down in this like dungeon area. He gets to this iron door, and he feels an immense amount of power coming like out of this room. So we guess, as the reader as well, that potentially he's found the word key, the third word key. So he shrinks himself down into a little fly gnat to get into the crack of the door. As he goes through, he like mentions how the iron feels against his power, because as we know, iron is not great for magic. But it does hold magic in, which is a big tell as to like maybe it is in here, because you can't magically get to it, essentially. And it can't, I don't know, do anything on its own, because it's like trapped behind an iron door. So he goes into this room, and instead of finding the word key, he finds collars. Tons and tons of collars. And this is where Erewhon is just kind of stashing all of the valg prince collars. we don't know if they are kind of imbued into each individual collar, but you get the sense from his interaction in this room that there's like some kind of force in each individual one that's like pulling him towards them, like trying to lure him to the collar to like put it on. So similar to, I would say it's very similar to when one of the Valg, when it was Aelin against like the three Valg princes, like way back in Wendlin, it was that same kind of like he was getting these like darker visions. He was getting this feeling that like all of the bad things that have happened in his life. So seeing Sorsha's head and like all of these things replaying. Yep. It was that same sensation, but in Dorian. So like he was having flashbacks to like bad things, like where Aelin was thinking of Endovir and thinking of all these like awful people that did all these things.
He also realizes that the room that he is in is Erewhon's tomb.
Mm-hmm.
It's where he was entombed under Morath, and like Kaltain had told him about the room before.
I think it was one of the
before she died, or
when he summoned her.
Yeah, in the vision that he had, or the summoning that he did. This is where she said, he realizes that this is what she was describing when she said that if you get captured by him, he will take you here. This is where he will take you. He'll take you to this room that is in his tomb where he stores all of the collars, and he will put a collar back on you. And he can sense the power is like really strong.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's crazy that it's also like it's, why can't I think of the word for coming from the thing?
Emanating.
I kept wanting to say emulating, and I'm like, that's not right. It's emanating from these collars because they're just that powerful. Mm-hmm. And he almost gets like frozen, and it's not necessarily that he gets frozen like slightly in fear, but it's also just like he can feel them drawing him in, and he gets saved like at the last second and pulled out by Maeve.
Mm-hmm. She
finds him,
like puts her power like through the door or something. Like he describes it as like just a black kind of shadow grabs him and pulls him out. Yeah. And she's just holding him as a fly in her hand, essentially. And she, of course, calls him a stupid boy. Like, what are you doing? You've clearly made a mistake. Not great. She says to him, "What you felt in there, that is why I left their world." She gazed ahead and a shadow darkened her face. Every day, that was what I felt. So in this moment, I immediately was like, is Maeve like actually not the worst person in this story? Because she is also
in this
trying
moment,
to escape.
I just was like, oh, it's as bad as I think it is, because she's nervous and scared.
Uh-huh.
She doesn't
like this. Well, yeah, I don't like her. But we're getting more of the like why Maeve is the way that she is background, which I kind of like. It gives her a little more
and
depth
why she's
than
here.
Just like, I'm just here because I want power. There's a little bit more to it. She also was trying to escape like Erewhon and Orcus and Mantic, like all of them. They end up going back to Maeve's quarters, which is kind of where I would say Dorian and Maeve's quarters at this point. Like they're staying together because Dorian is in hiding. And so he's just kind of tucked into her space. And Dorian starts asking her a bunch of questions, one of which has to do with the spiders. So essentially Maeve offered up her spiders to Erewhon to hold some of the princesses that he has. Some of the Valg princesses. So if you put a Valg princess into a spider who's already Valg, it would be like double Valg, like even more powerful. And when Dorian starts questioning her as to like why you allowed this, like why did you offer up your spiders, she gets kind of there's like a description of her being like sorry, like that she feels guilty for having to do that and having to like re-justify it to herself of like they are okay with that, but I am gonna have to live with the choice that I made. And that I know that this is gonna be for like the betterment of like what my end goal is, which we still don't fully know.
Yeah. She also says that Erewhon was the one who created the collars.
Mm-hmm.
It was like these were his idea, and that she basically says that he's the smartest of the brothers, and that like he just has a gift for like these like creations like these. But then she also says that he is the mildest of the three of them. That the other two brothers are worse. So the fact that Erewhon is the one that is here is the least of the three possible worries that you could have.
Uh-huh. Yeah. She definitely
It's
describes
horrifying.
the other two brothers as being stronger and more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it ties to, she calls Erewhon arrogant, specifically. Yeah. Of like, he knows so much, but he also knows so little. Like, he's very smart and can make and create all of these things. But
it makes him think that he's so clever.
Yeah, and that he's untouchable, which he isn't. Which is
we will take
part where I was like,
that, please.
Yes,
good. Weakness, stupidity.
Yes. Aelin is arrogant, but good at it.
Yeah,
like usually she's arrogant as a show. Well, because
her arrogance is fake.
Yes, she shows arrogance so that other people think that she's arrogant, and then she's like, "Tee, just kidding. I know more than you." Yeah. Maeve also Maeve touches on another fae that had sworn the blood oath to her that we don't know about, which I found to be very fascinating. And my assumption is that the bird that exists all the time, like we talked about a healer potentially, that there's this like other being that sits in that bird form, that it's like the owl or whatever. That there is another fae, like a female fae warrior who swore the blood oath way before Rowan and Gavriel and all of them, and has been by her side forever, and that she feels like at a loss without her next to her.
And it's because she is the one who can protect her against the valg. Mm-hmm. So she always has a fae with her that can resist the valg, basically on her behalf, because Maeve doesn't have that power. So to protect herself, she always has one with her. But she can't come. It's the reason that she says that she had to sacrifice the spiders is because she had to prove her loyalty, and she has put herself in a place of danger, because if she had come to Erewhon's with that fae, it would have been a sign of like not trusting him and not actually wanting to be part of this alliance. So she basically says that like she had to give the spider, she had no choice in that she had to give the spiders that he asked for as a sign of loyalty, because she has put herself in great risk of being like, she has no protection against what Erewhon would want to do.
Yeah.
So she has to play the game.
Yeah, she's much better at the game than Erewhon is. But at least that's my opinion. She can read him like a fucking book, though.
Yeah.
Which I think is fantastic. So this pretty much Maeve gives us so much kind of backstory about herself, and we get a little bit more about this like fae female character that we don't know her name, we don't know much about her. We got a little bit of a feeling when we were reading Tower of Dawn, because we found out about the owl and Silba and being like the god of healing, and she always has this owl near her. So we had this feeling that like that owl is somebody. and it is a healer of some kind. So obviously my theory is that is this fey female. And she always kept her because she was a healer. She was the only person that could like block out or break the power of the valg, similar to Irene. Like she can go in and like essentially zap the valg out of people.
Yeah.
So
except Maeve just uses it for herself.
Yeah. She could use it for others, but whatever.
But then she wouldn't be Maeve, and
True.
then we wouldn't hate her like we do.
Mm-hmm.
During this conversation, Dorian tells her that like he's pretty sure he's narrowed down where the key is, and he says it's in Erewhon's tower. And they basically hatch a plan, and the plan is that Maeve is going to seduce Erewhon to distract him so that he can go and get into Erewhon's room. So he'll have a guarantee that like he won't go back to his room for some reason.
Yeah. She alludes to
she
Erewhon
says to
having...
seduce.
Oh, go ahead.
She says to seduce and betray a king, one of the oldest tricks in the book, as you humans say.
She sort of alludes to Erewhon maybe having a thing for her, but she chose the other brother too, which is like...
She thinks that that's why this is going to work.
Play on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she shows up. Dorian is in his, I don't know, he's some kind of small creature hiding.
Yeah.
And she shows up to Erewhon's like chambers, knocks on the door, or tells the guards like, tell him I have arrived. She's in like a lacy like nightie, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And she pretty much tells Dorian like, you're not gonna like what you see, because she's gonna change herself to be more appealing to Erewhon. So she even like,
she's gonna do what she has to.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she shows up. Erewhon tells his guards to leave, which is kind of like, okay, we think, okay, this is working. Great. Erewhon has told his guards to leave, and then Maeve and Erewhon like chat a little bit. Erewhon pretty much says like, you think I'm just gonna betray my brother who is your husband? That's not a chance. We learned that like Erewhon has such a love and caring for his two older brothers. Like he holds them to like the highest thing, that like nothing will cross that, which is a little terrifying. He is not seduced by Maeve. Pretty much every time he says something to her, he refers to her as sister, because it is his brother's wife, essentially. Maeve even shifts herself and is like, okay, I won't be Maeve then. She shifts herself into Aelin, and Erewhon is like angry.
Yeah.
And then she shifts herself into Manon, and then Erewhon gets a little lustful towards Manon. And Dorian's like, fuck no. Not about that, which I thought was
because she starts to ask him like, what was his intention? Like, was his intention, as she's like shifting into these different people, she's like, was your intention to capture and have Aelin as your queen? And then like that doesn't work. So then he shifts into Maeve, or into Manon, and is like, is this what your plan was instead? Is to have her and make her your queen? And it she's so manipulative that like she is doing a manipulation on top of a manipulation. It's like so deep. She's trying to seduce him, to manipulate him and distract him, and then at the same time trying to gain information through doing what she has to do. She's like, I'm already in here. I'm gonna have to suffer. I might as well get something else out of it while I'm here. Try to get more information.
Yeah, she says, or maybe this form, beautiful beyond all reckoning. Was she your intended queen when this war was over, the wing leader, or merely a prize breeding mare? And Dorian is fucking pissed.
Yep. But none of it works, because Erewhon's like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
If you need release, I will send someone to your chambers. and then like shuts the door in her face.
Yes. Which I was like, kudos to Erewhon, I guess. I really was like, is it that easy? Like, we're just gonna seduce Erewhon and get into his bed chambers and figure this out? Nope, doesn't work.
Doesn't work. He sends someone.
He essentially says like, we have a meeting tomorrow morning. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Closed door.
It like literally skips to the meeting the next morning, and Erewhon is like, after all of that, you don't even partake in what I sent you, because he like sends someone to her chambers after, and Dorian's like inner like thought is, she probably only sent him away because I was there. Which I thought was funny.
Maeve's response though to Erewhon I think is fantastic, because he says that. And she goes, I had hoped for wine, Maeve said smoothly, not watered down ale. Because he essentially sent just like a grunt valg person.
Yeah.
Like a valg that had taken over a human. And not even like a valg prince.
It's beneath her for that. Like, she's not going to be satisfied by just some random dude. Okay?
Which I thought was so funny.
Some powerless human thing. Which, I mean, I get it. It's a great way to turn it down. Of like, that's not what I came for. Okay? No.
Yeah. She wasn't after sex to begin with. Like, she wasn't just trying to seduce him to seduce him.
But it was a great way to play it off as like, I came there to seduce someone who was going to be like worthy of what I wanted.
Yeah.
To get out of it.
Whatever this is.
Nope. I'm good. Thanks. Came to be satisfied, damn it. And that was not going to do it.
Yeah. So Maeve and Erewhon kind of talk a little bit more. She obviously gave up some of her spiders to him. And so to like show her loyalty after last night's stunt, he essentially is like, I want the remainder of the Karankui, which is like all of the spiders.
Yeah.
And
for them to fight in like the march that they're planning to make, because he is basically saying like, we're not doing 2 waves. We're going to just throw everything at this fight in Terrasen, like for like one stand.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, he's probably lying, which is a high likelihood because it's Erewhon.
Yeah.
But it is really clever, and I'm like, Maeve has made so many decisions, and we've talked a little bit about like certain decisions that get made in this book where we're like, why? Like, that seems so like letting Rowan go away and like that kind of stuff where it's like, it seemed like there wasn't really a great reason. I love this because it's like, to me, it's a really good way to show that Erewhon is like, I'm going to use everything that's at my disposal, and I'm not going to leave any like loose ends, because not making letting the Karankui, who are absolutely loyal to Maeve, stay back and let a majority of his army and his soldiers go forth to do the fight. It's like, okay, well then Maeve's just gonna come with whatever's left of the Karankui and beat the shit out of what's left of his army after that battle. So this one I was like, okay, good. Erewhon is like not. He's
playing
like,
chess, not checkers.
This is not, no, we're not doing this. Your people are going to fight. If you want to be part of this alliance, then your people are going to fight the same as the rest of my army. Because I'm not going to have my army half dead and you have an entire thing of evil spiders to fight me with. No.
Yeah, he's kind of going into like panic repair mode because like he didn't know Maeve existed. Like we learned that this is all a blindside to him as well, that he didn't know Maeve was here. We also get from Dorian's point of view, because he's in Maeve's like pocket at the time of this, that this is the first time he's noticed that she's like kind of nervous, because she does not, as we learned in the conversation, she doesn't want to give up her spiders. She didn't want to give up her spiders, but she knew that this was like a play that she had to do to like play the game with Erewhon.
She certainly doesn't want to give up all of them.
No, absolutely
for the same reason that Erewhon wants all of them. They are all she has left.
Yeah. She essentially pivots and's like, well, I can't promise that they're going to be loyal to you. They're loyal to me. And so, like, the ones that I gave you are the ones that chose that they pretty much said, like, we will fight by Erewhon's side for you.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, I can't promise the rest will do the same and that they won't just go after your foot soldiers or go after whatever. And so she pivots and she essentially talks about how she was a world walker and can open portals and just pretty much baits Erewhon with his brothers because we learn that like Erewhon cares more about his brothers than anything. So she is like, well, what if I just show you your brothers? I'm not powerful enough to go from world to world and open like a true portal where you would be able to go and see them. But I can show you them, show you that they're living like happily ever after.
Yeah, like give you this gift instead of her soldiers right now. Because she tries to frame it in that like he'll want the soldiers for when they go to conquer other worlds.
Yeah, she says, yes, though I am willing to give you a display tomorrow once I have prepared. Again, that horrible silence. Maeve said, they are too strong, too mighty for me to open a portal between realms to allow them through. They would destabilize my magic too greatly in the effort to bring all that they are into this world. But I could show them to you, just for a moment. I could show you your brothers, Orcus and Mantix. And we don't know if everyone agrees to that. Because then we go and hang out with Aedion. At the end of that chapter.
The offer just sits there.
Uh-huh.
Great. It's just show. It's show and tell. Don't worry, they're not coming through.
Yes.
It's fine. Sure.
Yeah, let's just show you them.
I mean, she definitely doesn't fucking want them there, so.
No, she's not gonna.
I think that's
they're not coming through, that's for sure.
Yeah. So now we go to the battle. As usual, because we have no joy. Every single one of these is like, every time the Aedion chapters start, everything's fucking terrible, we're gonna die, somebody saves them. Everything's fucking terrible, we're gonna die, somebody saves them. We're out of people.
We're out of somebody's.
We're out of people to come and save them now. Okay, so at least that they're aware of. We know that we want, like, the Krakens are coming and that kind of thing. Like, we know that they've got nothing. They do not believe that they would come at all.
Yeah, so they believe that Rolfe was like a savior and that this is their final stand.
Yep,
now.
That was it. Those were the last people that were coming.
That was their last.
So they're watching. They're watching all of these, like, the army come to them, and it's too many. It's like 100,000 soldiers in total that are just making their way. And they're preparing. They're trying to do as much as they can to prepare to take out like as many as they possibly could, because what else are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Aedion does think of Gavriel.
Mm-hmm.
And thinks about like what would have happened if he were there. And it's like he thinks about like whether his life would have been different if Gavriel had like been involved.
Yeah, essentially this starts from him and Ren chatting in a location that like when they were boys they would sneak off and like hang out. Yeah. But then
him and Ren
got
were like
to a certain age and
yeah,
pretty much like Ren's dad realized that Aedion was first in line for the blood oath with Aelin, and so it like made Ren and Aedion essentially rivals for this spot that essentially doesn't exist. Like for this thing to like be the right.
It wasn't going to be either of theirs, anyways.
Yeah, to essentially be the right hand man to Aelin.
Yeah,
in her like throne. And so then they like got pitted against each other. So he's having this like reminiscent like thought of, well, could that have been different if Gavriel was here and I was like, he is more honorable, like just based off the knowledge he has of Gavriel, like would he have had Like, would we have been pitted against each other, or would we have been taught to, like, work together in some manner? I don't know. It's such a sweet... It's the first time you get Aedion thinking of Gabriel actually as his father and not just, like, the dude that was the sperm to, like,
and
make
in
him
like
exist.
any positive way.
Yes.
And not just
Granted,
like,
of course,
that
it's
guy.
like, we about to die.
Yeah.
It would have been nice to have Gabriel as a dad.
Introspection. It's great.
Yeah.
It's too late now.
Yeah. I don't know, it's so sweet. So, in his head, would his own father, would Gabriel have encouraged the rivalry? He supposed it didn't matter either, but for a heartbeat, Aedion tried to picture it. Gabriel here, presiding over his training, his father and Ro teaching him together, and he knew that Gabriel would have found some way to calm the competition. Much in the way he held the peace in the cadre. What manner of man would he have become had the lion been here? Gabriel likely would have been butchered with the rest of the court, but he would have been here. A fool's path to wander down that road. Aedion was who he was, and most of the time, didn't mind that one bit. Ro had been his father in the ways that counted, even if there had been times when Aedion had looked at Ro and Evelyn and Aelin and still felt like a guest. Just like, Aedion. I needed you to come around, like, when Gabriel was with you before you guys all
he's too
split
fucking
up
late
and
to everything.
did all the things.
He figured out his shit with Lysandra way too late too, so I'm not that surprised.
True.
He's still like young-ish.
Yeah, but they're about to die, so
Yeah, well,
it's fine.
they've been about to die for fucking 600 pages. So
the entirety of this book, they've been about to. Actually, they've been about to die since the last book.
Since the last book, yeah. So
I feel like Ren and Aedion have been about to die since like book 2. Air of Fire, when Aedion and Ren were like fighting by themselves, like.
Oh my god.
They've been about to die since Air of Fire. The two of them. To learn that they were rivals at one point, and then, like, these two people became, like, the heart of, like, this alliance against Otterlin and, like, against all of the bad is so wild. We gotta go talk to Rolfe. So, essentially, they think of the Fire Lances. We know that, like, they don't have enough to, like, take out the entire army. Because, like, there's only so much... It's not magic. It's just, like, they have these things that interact with each other and, like, create flame. So, they only have so much. So, they pivot and they're like, how can we use that and amplify it, maybe, a little bit? So that, you know, it scares them off. Maybe they think we have more than we have, holds them off a little bit. Don't know. We don't know the full plan at this point. We just know, like, Fire Lances are involved, and we're going to go chat with Rolfe about said Fire Lances. It's not...
They end up digging pits. So Lysandra goes out to dig pits to lay traps.
With the silent assassins.
The night... Yeah, with the silent assassins. Basically the night before when, like, they know Morath's whole, like, army is going to appear. They lay the traps, and then the next day they see the army march in. And it is 100,000 troops that they can see, and 3 witch towers.
Yep.
Sick! It's great. Also, the whole time that they're doing this, Ansel is just counting, and Rolfe is like, we can count! Can you just chill?
Ansel, 15,000.
Nope, she just keeps counting.
20,000. 30,000. 50,000? And then it's silent. Rolfe's like, we can all count. And she, like, scoffs at him, and then later, at the end, she goes, 100,000. In case you guys stop paying attention, because I haven't.
She says 50,000 and then stops counting. But that's just because she hit 50,000 and then she was like, okay, great. Now we're going. And now we're at 100,000. Okay, great.
Just so you all know. There's 100,000 of them.
I didn't actually stop counting. It's fine. Evangeline, like, they're all basically up there watching, and Evangeline is there too, and she has a conversation with Lysandra saying that, like, I didn't think it would be so terrible, and that it would be, like, quite so scary, and that she's afraid for her friends. She's not afraid for herself, but she's afraid for her friends who are gonna fight for her. Oh, Evangeline, you're so cute. It hurts. The army ends up continuing to approach, and they get to the point where their traps are. And the traps...
What I think is really cool is there's snow everywhere, and it describes Ren and the Silent Assassins all being dressed in fully, like, white clothing so that they blend in with everything also, which I think is just so sick. Because to me, I'm thinking, like, valg, they all have, like, this, like, black darkness to them coming across the snow, and then it's just our little assassins just kind of, like, tucked in. It's giving Andarna on the cliff face. Like, that, to me, was, like, what I was picturing. Just like, doo-doo-doo.
Yep.
Like,
snow leopards in the snow.
Just don't look at me, I'm not here.
Flaming arrows arched and flew. Morath soldiers ducked under their shields. They did not bother to look beneath their feet. Neither did the witches leading their 3 towers. The flaming arrows struck the earth with deadly accuracy thanks to the silent assassins who wielded the bows. Right atop the fuse lines that flowed directly into the pits they dug, just as the witch towers passed over them. Blinding flashes broke apart the black sea of the army, then the mighty boom. And then a rain of snow, all of Morath's forces whirling to sea, providing the right distraction as Ren, Ilias, and the silent assassins raced on foot to the white horses hidden beyond the snowdrift. When the flash cleared, when the smoke was gone, a sigh of relief went down the walkway. 2 of those witch towers had been directly over the pits that they had filled with the chemical reactors and powders that fueled Rolfe's fire lances, then concealed beneath the earth, waiting for a spark to ignite them. Those 2 towers now laid scattered in ruins, their wyverns broken beneath, soldiers squashed under fallen stone. Yet one still stood, the pit it had been closest to exploding too soon. One of the wyverns who had pulled it had been hit by debris from another tower and lay either dead or injured. That third remaining tower had stopped. So they take out 2 towers, which is great. And then they didn't destroy the third one, but it's incapacitated at the moment. Yeah. Because they can't move it any further because the wyvern is either too injured or dead, which is still sad.
Yeah. Well, these are the ones that are not like Abraxos.
I know. But I like to believe that they could all be like Abraxos.
That's true. I'm going to think of these as like when Irene goes into the valg and you could tell that some of the humans, but like some of the humans are like bad at their core. I'm going to go with some of these are bad at their core. And so either way, they can't be saved. So for me, I'm just thinking these are the ones that can't be saved.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't feel as bad.
After all the dust settles and they see the towers in the state that they're in now, that's when Ansel says 100,000. To really bring down the fucking mood that like, yay, we did something. Don't worry, there's still 100,000 fucking soldiers you have to fight. Chill. Lock in.
Yeah, Rolfe is like, thank the rutting gods. Evangeline asks, how long will this stop them? Everyone, Darrow included, turned to the girl. No one had an answer. No lie to offer. So they again faced the army, gathered on the plain, its furthest reaches now visible. 100,000, Ansel of Briarcliff announced softly.
Thanks, Ansel.
End chapter.
Now
Goodbye,
we go back to Dorian
Aedion
and Maeve.
all of you friends who are about to die. Let's go see what the fuck Maeve and Dorian are up to. Because, what the fuck, Dorian, what are you doing? I'm still in the camp of like, why are we on the side of, why are we working with Maeve? She has saved him a couple times, which is making me think like maybe she's not. Maybe she actually is. She doesn't want Erewhon in power. So like, there's still that. There's this little bit that like, okay, we can agree on something, and it's Erewhon should not have power.
Yeah.
Granted.
And she says in the chapter before too, Dorian asks like why she decided to go after Aelin, because they have the conversation of like, why wouldn't you, like, we could have just asked Aelin for help. And she's like, there's no way that she would have left me alone.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, she's like, there's no one, I think at this point, doubts that like Maeve doesn't want Erewhon in power.
Yeah.
I think maybe other than Aelin, because Aelin doesn't give a shit.
That's true.
But
Aelin,
it's extremely apparent to me that Maeve really doesn't fucking want them here at all.
Yeah.
But she wants to survive more than she wants. This is like the selfish part of like why Aelin, would not let her stay in power.
Mm-hmm.
Is she really does only care. She really does only care about herself at the end of the day. So she will do what she has to get rid of Erewhon, but so that she can be the person that is in power.
Yeah.
Not because it's better for the people that she serves.
Not because it's for a better world.
No. Which is why I'm annoyed still with Dorian. But that's fine.
It's okay.
We have to have faith in him.
Yeah. We learn how Maeve is going to show Erewhon his brothers.
Yeah. Which is that she fucking isn't.
Yeah.
Because she can't actually do that.
Well, we learn that she can open portals, but she can't open a portal from like this world to another world. Because if she could, like, she could have like gone to another world or like pushed Erewhon. Yeah. Like, we know that the only way to open a large gate to get out of this world into another one has to do with the fucking keys. And like, she also wants the keys to open the gate to like be like, goodbye, Erewhon, leave my place of existence. So if she could have done that before, she probably would have. So essentially, we learn that Maeve is the driving force behind the mirrors that exist, that the witches use. So she created these mirrors to essentially show whoever, like, she wants, whatever she wants. So similar to the mirror that was placed by Elena for Manon and Aelin to go in to see, like, kind of the story that happened. That witch mirror, like, that was a witch mirror that they were able to utilize. The same mirrors that Baba Yellowlegs had, like, these were all created, essentially, maybe she didn't create them, but she was kind of like the author of the witch mirror. Like, she created the original and then essentially gave that information to the witches to utilize. Which is terrifying, because does it mean the witches are more loyal to Maeve if Maeve showed up? Like, would the matrons now be like, oh wait, I know who you are. We don't want to support Erewhon. Maybe we'll support you. That's kind of scary. But essentially, she can show Erewhon like whatever he wants to see.
It's more of an association than it is like a queen or mother situation.
Mm-hmm. It's not like the spiders.
Also, they don't want to be ruled by anyone other than themselves.
Yeah. Witches are in it for themselves as well. Maybe that's why Maeve stopped working with them. Like, she realized, oh, they don't want to work for me. They want to still do stuff for themselves. They're like me more than I want them to be. Anyway, so Maeve is gonna show Erewhon what he wants to see through this witch mirror. It's just gonna be an illusion, essentially. And
they're going to do this as this is going to be the distraction instead. Mm-hmm. She basically says, like, I'm gonna do this and you're gonna get into the tower. And Dorian's like, I can't get into the tower because I can't do that. And Maeve is like, I can walk through worlds. You think I can't port you into a tower? Mm-hmm. Huh?
She's like, I'm just going to give you a portal and you're just going to go bloop, right into Erewhon's room.
And Dorian realizes during this conversation, like, if you can just open a portal from anywhere, then like what has kept you from Terrasen? You can't get in. And we find out that Brannon warded the shit out of that place. She can't get in unless on her own 2 fucking legs, which is great. And the reason why I think Brannon really deserves a trophy for saving a large majority of Terrasen, because otherwise she would have just ported everyone there. She can't like move his armies into Terrasen because of these wards. So thanks, Brannon. Appreciate it.
Don't we learn that like way long ago that Brannon or Elena, like one of them was also a world walker in some manner where they can make little portals to like go places, and that's how they knew that this existed and that someone else could have this power, which is like the rationale behind him.
Was it her mom? Aelin's mom?
Maybe.
I remember
I feel
Aelin's
like there
mom
was
had
somebody.
Aelin's mom had a power that was hidden from a bunch of other people. Maybe it was the water power, though.
I thought it was the water. Was her mother's power. And then Brannon had fire.
I can't remember anybody else having the ability to walk through worlds.
I don't think it was
Fenris
as extreme,
was the one who
but I think it was
teleport.
similar to Fenris, where it was like they could do it within their own world, essentially. So it would be like Terrasen to Doranel or something like that. So it's still within the world, which is why he had warded against it. Maybe not.
I can't remember.
Either way, Brannon was aware of Maeve being able to do this.
Yes.
So he essentially was like, not here,
Erewhon was also aware and has had his room warded. And Dorian's like, there's no way that he hasn't. And she's like, I've been here long enough. And they're broken. I broke them.
Yeah.
She's like, they're not a problem. He's not a spellweaver, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So he also asks, like, why was this not your plan, like, from the start? And this is when we get even more information of, like, okay, fine. Maybe she has some soul because she feels something for the spiders. She doesn't want to sacrifice the spiders. And she does tell Dorian basically that she has guilt for the 6 that she had to sacrifice, and basically says, like, I will live with that choice. But 6 to sacrifice versus to give all of them is worth it. Yeah. And she makes some comment about, like, in her long life, loyalty is something that comes, like, of the highest value. So to have loyalty from the spiders is... It's almost like she values it enough to continue to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is as much, we'll say, humanity as we've ever heard her utter. So...
Yeah, she also tells herself that she says, they went willingly. I tell myself that whenever I look upon them now and see nothing of the creatures I knew. They wished to help me. Her eyes met his. Not all valg are evil. And his response, Erewhon is. And she says, yes. Yep. He and his brothers, they are the worst of our kind. Their rule was through fear and pain. They delight in such things. He then asks Maeve, and you do not? And she doesn't respond.
And this is where we go from like, oh, maybe she... Oh, no, she still sucks.
Yeah. Where I was like, she could have
He'd known if she lied.
But the thing is, she knows that he can tell when she's lying, which is why she gives him select truths. Like, essentially, she says things that are truthful enough that it wouldn't cause Damaris to warm or cold, be cold or whatever it is. And they go into the plan. So, essentially, she's going to distract Erewhon. She's also going to create a portal from her room into Erewhon's room while he's being projected this illusion and is distracted. Dorian is going to shift into Erewhon's skin and then walk through the portal and go into Erewhon's room.
Yuck.
Gross. So that is what they do. And they do this in the evening time, like at nightfall.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Dorian enters Erewhon's bedroom, he makes a note that it is not an extravagant, like, king's room. It's very, like, it's just nothing more than a bedroom. There's a bed, there's an armoire, all his, like, he mentions, like, clean clothes being folded and put away, but it's not, like, an extravagant, like, room that you would think Erewhon might have, because he's, like, this arrogant, like, wants to rule the world kind of mentality. And Dorian's like, oh, it's just a bedroom. Like, he doesn't have a lot of things. It's just a simple bedroom.
He thought there'd be, like, weapons and torture devices in there. It's like, it's a bed.
Yep.
And, like, a dresser.
Yeah. 4-poster bed just existing. He does feel the word key. And as he kind of does a scan around, he notices that there is a woman in Erewhon's bed. I immediately panicked when that happened, because I went, oh no, he has been caught. Unfortunately, this woman was pretty much being held similar to Kaltain. We know that Kaltain was just a fucking badass bitch and pushed back against the valg that was inside of her. This girl is also enslaved, and the word key is in her arm, similar to Kaltain. So that is how he's been keeping it safe, and why it's been moving around is because it's been in her. So he does the Dorian thing, and because Dorian has a heart, he essentially, she sees him as Erewhon. Remember, he's in Erewhon's skin. So he essentially grabs her hand with the idea of, like, I'm going to take this out of your arm. Tells her to hold still, and, like, pretty much she knows that he's going to cut the thing out of her arm. So she kind of panics a second, but he puts his magic into her to, like, do, like, healing magic as he's doing it. So it causes her as little pain as possible, which I think is fantastic. As he does this and pushes his magic into her, similar to Aelin and Dorian pushing the valg out of him when her magic went into him, he essentially, like, pushes back the valg enough where this woman can speak to him in her normal, like, tongue. So he takes the stone out. It's now pocketed. He's, like, healing up her arm.
He's got the word key.
And she essentially is begging him to kill her.
Yeah.
So he second guesses it. He thinks of Kaltain. He thinks of if he's able to save her. He thinks of himself being, like, having the collar on and knowing what it was like to be on the inside of that. And he essentially is like, if I kill her, will it be a service to her, or will it be, like, bad? I'm still killing someone who's technically innocent, but there's still a valg in her. Like, he goes through these things. And as he's, of course, thinking, like, do I do this? Do I do that? Maeve walks in. Maeve's like, you're taking too fucking long, and snaps the girl's neck, essentially, and says, like, you're welcome to Dorian.
She says, consider it a wedding gift, Majesty, to spare you from that decision.
Yeah. Awful. Awful, awful, awful.
And then she looks at him and says, well done, realizing that he has the key now. Her dark power leapt upon his mind. He didn't have a chance to grab for Damaris before he was snared in her dark web. And then demands the key from him.
Yes.
Like, his hand, like, slides down to grab it, but he doesn't give it to her. But, like, he is, like, under her control right now. They are, like, fighting in his mind. But she basically says, he says, like, she says, now that we've gotten it, we will go to where you have the other keys, and then we will go and meet up with the rest of them. But not for anything good.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's fucking Maeve. And sucks.
Yeah.
So she's
Such
like, with the
things I
keys
have
now.
planned for us, Majesty. For our union, with the keys, I could keep you eternally young. And with your power, second to none, not even Aelin Galathinius, you will shield us from any who might try to return to this world again. So she essentially is like, cool, now I'm going to use you as my puppet, and you're going to protect me.
Everything I need. She's like, all right, get on the Wyvern, let's go.
Quickly now, we depart, the Wyvern awaits.
Dorian halted in the middle of the chamber. Don't you think it's rude to leave without a note? Maeve twisted toward him, but too late. Too damn late, as the claws she'd hooked into his mind became mired in it. As flame, white hot and sizzling, closed upon the piece of her she'd unwittingly laid bare in trying to trap him. A trap within a trap. One he had formed from the moment he'd seen her. It had been a simple trick to shift his mind as if he were shifting his body, to make her see one thing when she glimpsed inside it, to make her see what she wished to believe, his jealousy and resentment of Aelin, his desperation, his naive foolishness. He had let his mind become things, let it lure her in, and every time she had come close, falling for those slips in his power, his magic had studied her own, just as it had studied Cyrene's stolen kernel of shapeshifting, so it had learned Maeve's ability to creep into the mind and seize it. God damn it.
It had only been a matter of waiting for her to make her move, to let her lay the trap she'd close to seal him to her forever. You, a smile from him, and Maeve stopped being able to speak. Dorian said into the dark chasm of her mind, I was a slave once. You didn't really think I'd allow myself to be so once again, did you? You're old as the earth, and yet you thought I would truly fall for your offer, he chuckled. I'm surprised you fell for my trap. I will kill you for this. Not if I kill you first. Fucking Dorian.
You hurt my friend. It will not be so very difficult to end you for it. Is this the king you wish to be, torturing a helpless female? You are not helpless, and if I could, I would seal you in an iron box for eternity. The king I wish to be is the opposite of what you are, and there's only one witch who will be my queen. Let's go! Oh my god.
It's so good.
At this point, a groan rumbles through the mountain beneath them. Morath shuddered, and Maeve's eyes get real fucking wide. You didn't think I spent all those hours merely searching, did you? No, because Dorian is fucking badass. Mm-hmm. He, in
Dorian
his time
is like
of searching,
75
was
steps
like,
ahead of everybody.
What else could I do? Could I use my ice magic to fucking shudder the foundation of this entire castle, and then at my whim, when I decide, just be like, maybe the ice should turn to water and all of Morath should just fucking explode?
Mm-hmm. Essentially, he like weaved his ice into tiny little cracks through the entire mountain, expanded them slightly so that the cracks would just be a little bit more, and now he's just like, goodbye ice, and all the cracks are now gonna crumble, and it's so good.
It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
She begs him not to leave her there, and is like, if you leave, like, Erewhon will find me. And he's like, yeah, the same way that you would have done to me. What do you want me to do? I'm not doing this. She basically begs and begs. But she can't do anything because she's still trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And then, to top it off, in just the I still don't understand how he does this, but it's the coolest fucking thing. Then he reached back into the mind still tethered to his. It was a simple incision to sever the link between their minds and to sever another part of her. To tie off the gift that allowed her to jump between places, to open those portals. Witchwalker no longer, he said, as his raw magic shifted her own. Changed its very essence. I suggest you invest in a good pair of shoes. And he let go of Maeve's mind. Dorian shifted again, becoming large and vicious, no more than a pack wyvern flying northward to bring supplies to the aerial legion. A king. He could be a king to Aelin in these last days that remained for him, wipe away the stain and rot of what had become, so it might start anew, become who it wished to be. Dorian caught a swift wind, sailing hard and fast, and when he looked behind him at the mountain and valley that reeked of death, at the place where so many terrible things had begun, Dorian smiled and brought Morath's towers crashing down.
Dorian and Kaltain, single-handedly, the two of them took all of Morath out.
The fact that he severs her magic.
He just went, boop. Can't have that shit no more. See you later.
No this
more
kind
world
of
walking.
Like that. Up until this point, we are under the assumption that like Irene is going to have some part to play in defeating Erewhon. Because she's the healer. Like, she has to.
My whole
It's
thing was
Aelin.
that she is going to be able to stop a lot of the Valk princes. I don't ever at any point think she is the key to get rid of Erewhon. I think she can help get rid of like
she's
all
part
of
of
the things.
defeating. Yeah. That's what I mean. Is like she's got a huge part to play in that. Like she's able to maybe make it just him that they have to deal with.
Yeah, just him and just Maeve at this point.
But Dorian can cut off her magic. It's like a magical lobotomy.
Yep.
Can we give Erewhon a magical lobotomy? That would be great. I feel like that would solve a lot of our problems.
Tell Erewhon that I did it for Aelin. Also, just.
God damn it. It's so good. It's one of my favorite
It's the best
chapters in this book.
It's so good.
For anyone who actually wants to read it, it is chapter 78. And it's fucking perfect. It's so good. It's a great, like... I have no notes. It's like such a good wrap up of like, he gets to finish Kaltain's work. And especially after like, he's the one who treated her like shit. Although we have Why would he have been able to predict that she was taken over by an evil power that came from another world? He just thought she was being a jealous court lady. But he gets to like save, even though Maeve is the one that does it, he gets to like save someone who is in that same position.
Mm-hmm.
He gets to finish Kaltain's work and destroy the rest of Morath. And then take a significantly large part of Maeve's power just away.
Mm-hmm. Ain't no teleport in here. You can't go anywhere. You're stuck. Goodbye.
He's stuck here, and you can't teleport at all.
Yeah. He just left her in...
And just leaves her with Erewhon.
In Erewhon's bedroom, essentially.
And then it crumbles to the ground.
Yep.
There's no way they're both dead, because we're not that lucky.
No, they're not dead. There's no chance.
Maybe a bunch of other shit's dead. I don't know. All the witches in there might be dead. The collars are all buried under rubble.
Mm-hmm.
Because the tomb's down in there.
Broken, shattered into a million pieces.
We're probably not that lucky either.
No.
They're obsidian. That shit's strong.
Yeah.
It would be fine.
I don't know, we exploded obsidian in the towers that were protecting Aelin from magic.
Well, that's the difference, though, is they're not exploded. It's just piled under a bunch of rubble.
I guess that's true.
Kaltain blew up a bunch of shit. She probably destroyed some collars in that explosion.
Hopefully.
At least a couple.
So
All right. So that's That's Morath.
Yeah, Morath is
For-
crumbled.
Bye, Morath. Get fucked. So now we go back to...
The Ferian
We
Gap.
go to Irene.
Mhm.
Yeah. She's healing. She's healing and puking. And then healing and puking.
Mm-hmm. And then
We also
healing
get...
and puking. I finally get, I should say, Irene finally admitting maybe this wasn't such a great idea, being pregnant before a war, like during
Was it
a
bad
war.
timing? Yes, she acknowledges it. Does she regret it? No. They also, I like the little bit of lore of Aelin being like, you
Can
can't
you just heal yourself?
Can you heal yourself? She goes, no. It's like the amount of healing I'd need to have a human being attached to me constantly to get rid of the nausea. Just
Yeah, can you heal your own
24/7 healing.
sickness? Or do you need someone else to do it? Irene sipped at the water. The vomiting is a sign that things are progressing with the babe. A hand drifted to her middle. It's not something that can really be cured. Not unless I had a healer at my side, day and night, easing the nausea. It's become that bad? Aelin frowned. Terrible timing, I know, Irene sighed.
It is this whole conversation is funny though, because it's basically like Aelin is there with Irene. Irene is like clearing out like gross wounds and stuff and like healing people. And Aelin is like trying her best not to throw up. And then Irene's just like, and then pukes in a bucket and then comes back and is like, all right, and then we get back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And Aelin's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
She's so
essentially,
cool.
in this moment, they're healing one of the Dargon soldiers who decided he was fine and didn't want to like
They
be
all
a
decide
burden.
they're fine.
And now he has a huge, massive infection coursing through his body, and he passed out because he had a wound that then got infected because they're moving. And instead of going to a healer ahead of time to be like, hey, can you just clean this up real quick? He kept hiking and doing their like travel, and then he got an infection, and so now he's passed out, and so now they have to deal with him passed out and fully infected.
Good shit.
So that's essentially what Irene is working on. And in this, Aelin is helping Irene. So if she hobbles over to do this thing and like limps over to do this thing, and so Irene makes a comment that like, I could heal your leg, to Aelin.
Like,
and
fix it.
Fix it. And Aelin is like, can you really? And she goes, I mean, likely I could. I would have to see the injury to see exactly what I would need to do. And so Aelin gives her ankle, and Irene like puts her magic through it. And she says, there are two options to how this can play out. I can give you a salve that will help with the muscles and kind of help with the achingness. That'll work for about 5 to 10 years, but essentially the way your foot was broken, that you no longer have like the cartilage that protects the bone from rubbing against each other.
She's going to get arthritis.
Yeah. So essentially, as she moves, her bones are just rubbing back and forth against each other, causing the arthritic pain, which is essentially the pain she's feeling. And so after 5-10 years, the pain will become so unbearable that the salve will not work anymore. So you can
she'll need a surgery.
So you can go the 5 to 10 years like this, and
then get the surgery.
Or we can do the surgery sooner, but it will be like, I will have to break your bones again and restructure them and rebuild them. So like you wouldn't be able to walk for a month or so, like multiple months. And then on top of that, you will have to learn to walk. Because essentially, she learned to walk as it was healing. So now she knows how to walk on a broken ankle. She doesn't know how to walk on a non-broken ankle.
Yeah.
So she would have to relearn how to walk as well. So it would be like 6 month to a year process. And so
3 weeks of like
just
intense
healing.
Pain.
Yeah.
Because it's the actual like surgery of breaking the bones and then letting them heal. And then
grow back and
do everything after, which is not going to be fun.
No.
And Aelin basically, she gives her the two options, and Aelin is like, I will have to think about it because she's like, I don't know if I'll be able to do that pain again.
Yeah.
Like the idea of going through that pain again. Because she does describe it as like, wouldn't be very different from when it happened, when you experienced it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But she would be able to walk, and if she doesn't do it now, it's probably going to need to happen anyways in like 5 to 10 years. So like, do you need 5 to 10 years to think about it? Cool. Prepare.
Yeah. I just like this idea that Irene is offering it and letting it be Aelid's decision, when for a very long time, like, Aelid had no ability to make decisions for herself. So the way she words it is like, I will be here with you and I will help you work through this, just like I help. She pretty much says, like, my husband and I just went through a similar process.
Yeah, because she also says there'll be an emotional component to this, if you'll have to work through some shit emotionally.
Yeah. So, like, be prepared for that. I just love that she was like, hey.
Don't think that's the part that's going to be hard for Aelid, if we're being honest. The pain will be the hard part. Aelid will be like, yeah, I've accepted this. Cool. Let's move on.
I think the pain would be the hard part for Lorcan.
Well, yeah,
because
Lorcan
he'll
will
be like mad at Irene
insufferable.
for her being in pain, even though it's to heal her.
He will not know what to do with himself seeing her in pain.
He'd just carry her everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, constantly magic into her to,
just
like,
exhaust himself with all of the magic of trying to keep her from pain.
Yeah, just like, I'm gonna numb her whole body so she can't feel a thing.
Oh my god. He will.
I don't know. I love this conversation between the two of them. Because to me, like, they are two, like, very, like, dynamic characters in my mind. Like, they have a lot of background that, like, doesn't really get touched on too much. Like, we obviously got a lot of Irene in Tower of Dawn, and we get, like, bits and pieces, and Irene alludes to knowing how exactly Aelid's foot was broken and, like, what her uncle did to her. We don't get that exact information, but essentially Irene is, like, mad. You could she, like, her inner dialogue is, like, anger at Vernon for doing this and, like, wanting to make it as painless as possible, but knowing that there's gonna be all this stuff that comes up with it. I don't know. I think it's so nice. I just love this it's just such a little blip in the book too, and it's just I don't know. I love it so much. Irene and Aelid having this little mini heart-to-heart. And then Borte shows up.
Yeah, speaking of Vernon.
Borte shows up and is like, hey, we need you.
They found someone in the mountains.
What happened? What do you mean? And she's like, we found someone in the mountains. We found your uncle. Or she goes, we found someone. And Irene's like, oh, who? And then she looks at Aelid and goes, her uncle. And we're like, Vernon is here? Sick. So Borte's like,
Aelid gets flown in by Borte.
Yeah, to where
and
her
it's
uncle
like
is. Everyone's there.
Aelin and Lorcan are standing there, and Lorcan is like ready to kill someone.
Aelin is also ready to kill someone, but is
also ready to kill someone.
Play nice-ish.
And trying to be like the queen that she also needs to be in this moment.
Yeah.
And Gavriel's the one that's like, I'll take you to them.
So
like, everything's gonna be okay.
Gavriel and Fenris are like the first two people she sees, which is probably for the best.
Gavriel takes her up there, and Fenris is like, don't worry, he's changed. So it's like the two of them being like, everything's okay.
Yeah.
We're the sane ones that are able to take you to the people who are ready to lose their shit. But
we are the two that are able to talk to you. Like, Borte was the one that knows nothing about anything. Borte's just like, go, you have to go get her. And so then she lands, and we have Dad Gavriel and older brother Fenris being like, you are with us, the two of us. Even if no one else is here, the two of us will make sure you are fine. They pull the, like, we will protect you no matter what. And Gavriel is like, if you don't wish to see him, you do not have to. If you don't want to talk to him, you do not have to. But we thought it should be your choice. Like, Aelin thought it should be your choice. So he, like, has the, like, here is how we deliver this information so that, like, because the two angry people delivering the information, probably not a good idea. And then Fenris is like, he cannot touch you. He is fully chained. And if he moved a fucking muscle in your general direction, he would die in a fucking millisecond. And it wouldn't be me or Lorcan or Aelin. It would probably be Rowan. Like, Rowan just be like, nah, fuck that shit.
He says he's well restrained. She knew not with mere ropes or chains, but likely with fire and ice, and perhaps even Lorcan's own dark power. She gets taken to Aelin and Rowan and Lorcan, and then Nesryn, Sartak, and Chaol are like further down the hall, but like she gets brought to them first. Mm-hmm. And Lorcan is like, you don't have to see him, you don't have to talk to him, you don't have to do anything.
You don't need to go in there.
Aelin is like, we brought you here because this should be your decision. But if you want to speak to him, like, you can decide what we're going to do with him. But, like, if you want to speak to him first, you can do that. You can do whatever you want. And Elide is like, but you're going to torture him for information. And Lorcan is like, before he receives what's due to him. It's like, yeah, they're going to torture him. They need information. Mm-hmm. Rowan lets her know that, like, he hasn't revealed why he's there. He hasn't really given them any information yet, but they haven't really started with the torture, so they could get information. Mm-hmm. The only thing that they seem to kind of, like, not leave up to her is, like, we are going to interrogate him. They have to. They have no choice.
They don't have a choice.
But in terms of what happens...
They essentially say that to her, too. They pretty much are like, we need to get as much information as we can out of her. Mm-hmm. And Lorcan's like, I am going to rip tiny little pieces of his body apart, little by little, until he dies. A slow painful
He'd like
death.
To. But she asks, you will kill him regardless? And Lorcan asks, do you wish us to? And she says, I would like to speak to him before I decide his fate. So... she goes in to talk to him, and Vernon is being a little shit.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
She's like, wow. He's like, wow, what mighty company you keep now, Elide. And Elide says, your breaths are limited. I would suggest you use them wisely. Fucking sick.
I also liked she makes like as she enters the room, just makes like a generalized like scan of the place, and she's like, his finery was worn, his dark hair unkempt, as if he struggled while they bound him. Indeed, blood crusted one of his nostrils, his nose swollen, shattered. A glance to her right confirmed that the blood on Lorcan's knuckles.
Yeah.
And I was just like...
my favorite bit was just like, he wants to punch him. He's probably like, struggle.
He's like, yeah, you're struggling. Go ahead.
Yes!
Fucking knock you out real quick.
Just knock him out.
A nice little... boop. Okay.
Sorry.
That makes me feel a little bit better.
He fought back. I don't know what you want me to do. Just sit there?
He tried to hurt your
punch
friends.
Him in the face.
I just gave him a little shattered nose. It's fine.
She basically only asks him why he did it. Why he did all of it. And his response is, because I wanted to. He calls her father... yeah, he calls her father weak. He basically just is like, Elide sums it up as, okay, so you were jealous. You were jealous of my father. You were jealous of him.
And my mother.
For the life that he had, for his wife, for just everyone. You being a piece of shit and him being great is the gist of it. And then he just did it because he could.
Yeah, he also alludes to, like, him also being in love with her mother, sort of, in this, like, she could have been with me,
her
and like
a rare beauty,
yeah,
and like that she could have been with me instead.
Mm-hmm. Ugh, gross. Yeah. That so skeevy.
Like, well, he's disgusting, so I'm not that surprised. She responds basically that, like, after this, no one will remember who you are. You did all of this for nothing, because your name will be erased from Orynth and from Terrasen, from Aelin, from everywhere, forever. And he pales, but then smiles and says, erased from Orynth? You say that as if you don't know, Lady Elide. Orynth now lies in the hands of Morath. Your city has been sacked. And they all try not to show their emotion at the new information, but, like, Elide can sense it. Mm-hmm. And they're like, they're all nervous because they realize how close Morath's forces and how quickly Morath's forces have been moving if they've already sacked Peranth.
Yeah.
And are continuing to move forward.
Yeah,
So.
essentially this is when they realize that, like, Morath's troops' next step is Orynth and Terrasen. So it's kind of like they are finally up to speed with what the fuck is happening with Aedion. They don't really know, but they're finally like, oh shit.
They get the breadth, the like, urgency
oh, hey, guys.
here is significant.
Oh no.
She turns to leave, and Vernon is like, that's it? That's like, you don't understand how to play this game. And Aelin says, I don't want anything from you. There's nothing more that I care to hear from you, but they still have questions. And he says, you mean to leave me in their hands utterly defenseless? I was defenseless when you let my leg remain unhealed. I was a child then, and I survived. You're a grown man. We'll see if you do too. So freaking good. She didn't try to hide her limp as she strode out, as she caught Lorcan's eye and beheld the pride gleaming there. Not a whisper, not one from that voice who had guided her, not from fear, but perhaps she did not need Aneth, lady of wise things. Perhaps the goddess had known herself. She herself was not needed, not anymore. Hell yeah.
Let's go.
So they go outside, they leave, and they're like, okay, what can we do? And Aelin says that she does not care what they do to him. She doesn't care if he walks out alive or not. Lorcan obviously is like, can I kill him? And Aelin's like, I don't care. The only thing she says,
yeah,
all she asks is to make it quick because my father would have wished so, which I think is sweet.
Rowan does say that we do have to question him.
We're gonna question
so,
him
like,
first.
It's not gonna necessarily be painless.
Mm-hmm. And she says, then do it, but when it's time, make it quick. And Fenris says, quick, but not painless. And Aelin's face was cold, unyielding. You can decide.
She's like, I don't want to think about this anymore, thank you.
I'm tired. I don't care what you do with him. Just whatever.
Aelin, of course, has to piss Lorcan off every chance that she can. So she's like, we're not going to torture him. Exactly. Go get me some ale.
I mean, she wanted to do it too.
Yeah, she did. But Vernon likes to play games.
Because she knows.
So then I'll play the game. So
yeah.
Essentially she goes and gets ale and unchains him, sort of. Not fully. He's still like there.
She lets like the chains off his hands, I think, but like not actually like out of the room.
Yeah.
Or she loosens them at least enough that he can drink the ale. Chains loosens enough for him to use his hands. Yeah.
Yeah.
One false move and her fire would melt him. Yes. Only it's just her and Gavriel and Fenris in the room. She makes Rowan and Lorcan stay outside, which makes both of them furious for different reasons, which is great.
Yeah. I'm sure Rowan is more of like, I just would like to be next to you, but I also understand that you probably want me out here to hold Lorcan out here so that Lorcan has to stay out here because otherwise he'd hear anything Vernon said and would just come through the door. No stopping. Rowan's like,
so
hey, buddy.
She tries to ply him for information and basically is like, I'm not going to torture you. It's not worth it. I'm not going to get anything out of you. But it doesn't really matter because, like, I either let you live or you get murdered by Erewhon, likely. Because what the fuck are you doing out here? In the mountains? You've been cast aside. There's no way that you're still in his good graces if you're out here in bumblefuck nowhere, far away from his army.
I just like, he goes, Erewhon said I asked too many questions and then sent me off. And I was like, let's go, Dorian.
Oh no, Dorian.
Oh no,
what
Dorian
unintended, unexpected consequences. That's so crazy. Terrible. So she makes a deal with him. She swears upon her throne that she will not kill him and that none of her companions will kill him
If
for
you
the
tell.
information
Yeah.
that he has. And then he gives them the information that Maeve has joined forces with Erewhon.
I like, so she says this, Fenris started all the confirmation Vernon needed that she meant it, that they had not planned it. So that this is like a thing that she's doing on her own.
When she agrees to
not hurting
not
him,
let
or not
them
killing him.
Yeah. That
And Fenris
Fenris
is like,
initially
oh,
is like surprised.
uh-huh.
The fuck you mean he's not gonna die?
And so
What?
Vernon's like, all right, fine. Maeve has come to Moreth to see Erewhon to unite with him. This whole time, Aelin's trying to not freak the fuck out because now the thing she was worried about of Maeve and Erewhon, like, you know, working together is happening. Maeve has gone to Erewhon. So she asks follow-up questions. Did Maeve bring an army? Did she have anything else? And he's like, no, none of these things. No army, not that I saw, but Erewhon packed me up pretty quickly on a wyvern in the dead of night and shipped me off. Claimed I had asked too many questions and was better suited to be stationed here. And then, once I was stationed here, he summoned all the witches to Paranth. So, essentially, we learned that the reason the witches aren't in the Ferian Gap is because they went to take over Paranth and then push towards Orynth or whatever.
Yeah.
She asks about the word key. He essentially says, I don't know what that is. What's that? Yeah. A sliver of black stone, like the one planted in Caltaine. He's like, she had that fire gift too, you know? I tremble to think what might happen if Erewhon put the stone within your arm. So he just, like, doesn't answer the question and is trying to, like, taunt her. He pretty much tells her he doesn't know where the stone is. Doesn't know, like, Erewhon didn't give him that information. He kind of is, like...
He got booted before he could find out anything about Maeve. So, like, he doesn't really have any more information to give.
So she's like, okay, cool. And then Aelin chains his arms back up. Like, they chain his wrists back together. And he's like, aren't you going to set me free? And she goes, that's not what we agreed to. And he's like, what do you said that you wouldn't kill me. And she goes, yeah, I said myself and my companions would not kill you. I did not say that I wouldn't chain you up so that you could die here by yourself. And then...
We're not the ones that are going to kill you.
Yeah.
Starvation and a lack of water, probably.
She's like, 2 to 3 days, probably. Yeah. I don't think anyone's coming back here since Erewhon cast you aside. So, like, you're likely to just rot here until you die.
You chained and locked my friend in a tower for 10 years. Let's see how you enjoy the experience. Though once the trainers are dealt with, I don't think there will be anyone left to feed you, or bring you water, or even hear your screaming. So I doubt you'll make it 10 years before the end claims you. But 2 days, 3, I can accept that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, fucking good.
He tries to beg, and Aelin is like, absolutely not. Marion saved my life, and you gleefully bowed to the man who killed her. Perhaps even told the king of Otterlin where to find us, all of us. You should have conserved that tankard of ale, was all Aelin said before she nodded to Gavriel, and then they left, and they closed the door. Aelin, of course, the first thing she does is kind of apologize to Elide, essentially by saying, it won't be quick this way, Aelin said, extending the key to Elide. The rest of the question hung there. And Elide studied the door. The Lady of Paranth took the outstretched key, pocketed it. We should find a better way to seal that room. So she agrees, essentially, that
Lorcan is not pleased, but accepts what's happening.
Yes. Lorcan would have liked
he wanted to flay
him,
that man alive.
just like Rowan had.
Because he kind of promised he would do it at one point.
Yeah.
Doesn't get the satisfaction. Unfortunate, but oh well. We're moving on.
Yeah. We pivot. Aelin and Rowan are by themselves, and Aelin
And she's
is
panicking.
panicking because pretty much their worst nightmare is coming true. Maeve and Erewhon are working together. Rowan does the best he can and pretty much is like, we'll face this together. We're going to do everything together. It'll be fine because we're going to do it together. All of us. We're going to fight against them. Unfortunately, Rowan, in his many years of war, did not have a solution to this one. So it's just him trying to kind of eddy her extreme by like calming her slightly, but he doesn't have a thing of like, well, we can do this or we can do that, which is usually kind of what he does.
He just says together.
Yeah.
And it makes her realize that like he doesn't have a plan either. Just go north and deal with it together.
And as the wind howled through the peaks, Aelin realized that her mate perhaps did not have a solution either. Fuck. Like, oh, absolutely not. Oh no. And that is where we leave our dream team. So they now know witches sacked Orynth and are potentially moving towards Orynth/Terrasen. Like they're moving in that direction. So they have a general idea that Aedion, Ren, Lysandra, all of them are in danger. They don't say those words out loud, but this is kind of what we are getting. Yeah. That they are now finally understanding that, like, Aedion's, and that then it's not looking great for their friends in Terrasen currently. They also don't know exactly, obviously they don't know what they've been going through already. They just know that the ruse was sort of working because Maeve had thought they were all in Terrasen. So, sort of, they have a general idea that Aedion and them are still in Terrasen. They don't really know that this entire army is just focusing on Aedion's group. But, yeah. So,
now we get to go back to the army.
Check in with Aedion and them. So, Aedion and Ren have the same conversation they had the last time they were faced with this. It's like,
yeah, the chapter starts off with it, because in case you haven't forgotten, guys, there's 100,000 soldiers. In case you hadn't forgot. First line of the chat, 100,000, Ren breathe. Thank you, I forgot in the fucking 3 chapters where I got a break from the fact that there were 100,000 soldiers. Cool. Thanks for the reminder. It's great.
Yeah. It's evening. It's like the evening before. They held them off as long as they could. It's the evening before Morath is about to attack. So, Aedion...
and there's no one left.
...cannot sleep. Ren can't sleep. Lysandra took Evangeline, who was freaking the fuck out, and took her to bed to be like, pat head, go sleep. Cry. Sleep. We'll just calm her down so she gets some kind of sleep. Ren and Aedion have their little, like, kind of heart-to-heart. This is it, isn't it? There's no one left to come to our aid. And Aedion admits that it won't be a pretty end. This is gonna be terrible. And
Ren says, it would have been an honor to serve in this court with you. And Aedion says, it would have been an honor indeed. And then Aedion goes to check on Lysandra.
Well,
and
Ren leaves, and Lysandra walks by with a glass of warm milk for Evangeline. And the only thing she says to Aedion is that Evangeline can't sleep.
Yeah.
And then Aedion asks, can I talk to her? And Lysandra agrees, and so the two of them go to Evangeline. And Aedion gives Evangeline this, like, little mini pep talk about how he was scared for his first war.
He
and, like,
was
his
so
first
scared
fight.
that he spent the whole time in the bathroom.
Yeah, he essentially says, like, I spent the whole time in the bathroom the night before, didn't sleep. Yep. And then Evangeline is like, well, I threw up. And he goes, it's better than shitting your pants, sweetheart, which I thought was hilarious.
Which makes her laugh and, like... He says the battle won't be pretty, and you will likely throw up again, but just remember that fear of yours, it means you have something worth fighting for, something you care so greatly for that losing it is the worst thing you can imagine. Those bastards out there on the plain, they have none of that. They have nothing to fight for, and while we might not have their numbers, we do have something worth defending, and because of that, we can overcome our fear. We can fight against them to the very end, for our friends, our family. He squeezed her hand, again at that, for those we love. He dared to look up at Lysandra, those green eyes lined with silver. For those we love, we can rise above the fear. Remember that tomorrow, even if you throw up, even if you spend the whole night in the privy, remember that we have something to fight for, and it will always triumph. Evangeline nodded. I will. Aedion roughed her hair once more and walked to the door, pausing on the threshold. He met Lysandra's stare, her eyes emerald bright. I lost my family 10 years ago. Tomorrow I will fight for the new one I've made. Not only for Terrasen and its court and people, but for the 2 ladies in this room. I wanted it to be you in the end. He almost spoke her words then, almost sent them back to Lysandra as something like sorrow and longing entered her face. But Aedion ducked out of the room, shutting the door behind him. Terrible decision, you idiot. Go back. You idiot. For fuck's sake. Lysandra didn't sleep.
Of course not.
And instead, just doesn't sleep the whole night. Thinks about Aedion. Thinks that she should have gone after him. I agree. He also shouldn't have fucking left.
Mm-hmm.
And then as she's getting ready in the morning, they go down to the Great Hall and they find Darrow, who asks if they can have a word and, like, have a conversation. He says that it won't take long. And he asks if Evangeline would be his messenger during the battle. And she gets all excited and she's like full of pride that like she's been asked this. And she like looks at Lysandra to like see if she can accept, and Lysandra's like gives her a nod that like she can do what she wants and accepts the offer. And then Darrow says, go get some breakfast and then come back up here and we'll have armor for you. Which is so cute.
He essentially says that, like, people that fight in war, that to be good, you have to eat and you have to take care of your body. And so he, like, sends her off to have food. And so she runs off. And Lysandra is essentially asking him, like, why are you doing this? Darrow he talked about the flame. He says...
Yeah, he talks about the flame of Orynth.
Yeah, and that's kind of, I think...
the King's Flame, not the flame.
Yeah, he talks about the King's Flame, which is, I think, it's the only thing that he saved from Terrasen before it got, like, ransacked by everything.
It's like a flower, and, like, the scribes and stuff saved a bunch of books, but the only thing that he takes is the King's Flame from when Orlon, who was the king during Darrow's lifetime and was, like, Darrow's love. That's what he chooses to save, is that flower.
It signifies strength, and it signifies the goodness of Terrasen. It's essentially thought that this only shows up, and it only blooms when greatness to, like, overcome bad, like, exists. So
it's a symbol
during Brannon's reign, because there was, like, all of this, like, terrible stuff that happened with Erewhon originally, and then it bloomed, like, Orlon found one and it bloomed during his reign.
Yeah, it's a sign that, like, the land itself has blessed that ruler.
Yeah.
He also saves the antler crown, which is the crown that has belonged to, like, the Galathinius household forever. And he kind of, like, says that, like, he saves these things, and he's, like, a sentimental fool for doing so.
Yeah. Once Evangeline runs off, so Evangeline has agreed and, like, wants to do this, so she runs off to get food, and Lysandra pretty much questions Darrow as to, like, why her? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you asking her? And he says, Nox Owen is of no use to me now that his allegiance has been made clear. So clearly Nox Owen is working for like Aelin and Aedion and like all of them at this point. And he's vanished. Like, don't know where he is. Likely at Aedion's request, he's disappeared. But we know Nox was like the one sending out all of the word of like, hey guys, like Terrasen needs aid. So essentially like he's out doing that, calling folks. But beyond that, no child should have to watch as her friends are cut down. Keeping her busy, giving her a purpose and some small power will be better than locking her in the North Tower, scared out of her wits at every horrible sound and death. Lysandra did not smile. You would do this for the ward of a whore? Darrow set down the crystal. It's the faces of the children that I remember the most from 10 years ago, even more than Orlon's. And Evangeline's face yesterday as she looked up at that army. It was the same despair I saw back then. So you may think me a champion bastard, as Aedion would say, but I am not so heartless as you might believe. He nodded toward the open door. I will keep an eye on her. Essentially, while Lysandra's fighting, he says that, like, this is the most I can do. Like, I can't go out there and fight. As we know, he has said this to Aedion that, like,
it is relatively
a
safe.
retired, like, fighter, soldier, seeing all these people lay down their lives and not being able to do anything. This is, like, the one thing he can do. He's like, I can keep this child mentally safe from what's happening by keeping her busy. Which is, like, 1 point to Darrow.
1 point. Just 1. We're still in the negative, but we're we have a point in the right direction.
I understand
significant negatives right now.
Darrow and, like, his purpose. I don't like how he's handling things. Like, yes. I get the reason.
As the grown adult,
yes,
he's annoying me.
Yes. In the scenario, it feels very much like he is being the parent that nobody wants or needs. And he's like, you can't do this. I'm the adult here. I'll tell you what to do.
But he's also not actually trying to parent her.
No.
Because he's not trying to, like, help raise her to be the next queen. He's like, you're a princess, also fuck off. Because we've got it handled.
Yes.
And you can't help.
Sorry, I had to mute.
Incorrect.
Yeah. All Lysandra gives him is a thank you. Like, she is grateful for this thing. She's still pissed at him. Mm-hmm. Like, she still doesn't love him. And so he, like, sends her away. And it essentially says, Darrow waved her off and went back to studying whatever papers were on his desk, though his eyes did not move along the pages. So you get this idea that he's, like, also kind of panicking. He's like, the fuck, this is kind of the end. This is our last stand. We're fucked, essentially. So I might as well do the little bit that I can.
We go back to the battlements. They can see them repairing the tower, but it's not quite ready yet. But the rest of the army has still been, like, moving forward. And he gets a report. Aedion gets a report on the towers that the archers will be in range in an hour. Mm-hmm. And they're just doing what little preparation is left of, like, making sure that everybody picks their shots, take advantage of the best archers, try to take out as many as they can, and protect themselves from the archers that are going to hit the line first.
Yeah, essentially make your targets count. Like, make the ones you choose count. Just, like, take the ones that are a little bit more powerful out. Maybe let's target ones we can't just, like, slash down very easily.
Yeah. And then Ren says, what is that? And points to the horizon. A breath passed, and dark smudges begin to take form, rising into the blue sky, flying towards them. Ilkin? Ren squinted as he shielded his eyes against the glare. Too big, Aedion breathed. Closer, the mass flying. above the teeming army began clearer, larger. Wyvern, Aedion said, dread curdling in his stomach. The Iron Teeth Aerial Legion had been unleashed at last. Oh gods, Ren whispered. Against the terrestrial siege, Orynth might have held out a few days or weeks, but they could have lasted. But with the 1,000 or so Iron Teeth witches who soared towards them on those Wyvern, they would not need the infernal towers to destroy this city, the castle, to whip open the gates and walls and let in Morath's hordes. Lysandra looks to Aedion and says, "Tell me where to go. Tell me what to do, where to go. I can change into a wyvern, try to keep them." There are over 1,000 Iron Teeth, Aedion said, his voice hollow in his ears. There is nothing we can do. A few dozen of the Iron Teeth had sacked Rifthold in a matter of hours. This host? Aedion focused on his breathing, on keeping his head high as soldiers began to sway. "Stay where you are," he bellowed. "Hold the line and do not balk." He tells Rolfe to get the fire lances ready. Let's see if they can burn the Iron Teeth from the sky. And then Ren hesitates. Aedion snarls, "Do it now," and sends Ren off to go tell Rolfe to, get prepared and, follow his orders. He looks to Lysandra and tells him to take Evangeline and go. There's a small tunnel in the bottom level of the castle that leads into the mountains. Take her and go. And Lysandra refuses, saying, "To what end? They'll just find us." He says, "Please, I am begging you, Lysandra, to go. You are not asking our other allies to run, because I am not in love with our other allies." And she just blinks at him. Her face crumbled. What?
I should have told you every day after I realized it. I'm just, it hurts.
It does.
Aedion, why do you have to realize at the fucking 11th hour?
You fucking shit. Lysandra begins crying and just, holds his hand. Takes hold of his hand. And that does not fill him with joy. It fills him with dread because he realizes, no fucking way she's going anywhere now. You idiot.
Yeah. She's making no move to run.
They see
and then someone
the wyverns
yells,
come.
"Wyverns from the north." The screamed warning shattered down the battlements. 13 wyverns raced from the staghorns, plunging toward the city walls. And as they shot towards Orynth, people and soldiers screamed, lighting up wings with living silver. Aedion knew that wyvern, knew the white-haired rider atop it. "Hold fire," he bellowed down the lines. His commanders echoed the order, and all the arrows that had been pointed upward now halted. "It's," Lysandra breathed. Soldiers still fell back from the city walls as Manon Blackbeak and her 13 landed among them, right before Aedion and Lysandra. It was not the witch he had last seen on a beach in Eelway. No, there was nothing of that cold, strange creature. Nothing in her, that remarkable crown of stars atop her brow. A crown of stars for the last Kraken queen.
Yeah.
We will not surrender, Darrow spat.
Darrow fucking runs up and is like, "Oh my god, they're here to make us surrender."
No.
Shut the fuck up.
Astrid, Blackbeak, and her blue wyvern beside Manon let out a low laugh. Indeed, Manon's lips curved in a cool amusement as she said to Darrow, "We have come to ensure that you don't, mortal." Darrow hissed, "Then why has your master sent you to speak with us?" Astrid laughed again. "We have no master," Manon Blackbeak said. And it was indeed a queen's voice. "We come to honor a friend." There was no sign of Dorian amongst the 13. "We came," Manon said, loud enough that all the city walls could hear, "to honor a promise made to Aelin Galathinius, to fight for what she promised us." Darrow said quietly, "And what was that?" Manon smiled. "A better world." Darrow took a step back. fuck you, Darrow. Get put in your place by Manon because we love her. Long ago, the Krakens fought beside Terrasen to honor the great debt we owed the Fey King Brannon for granting us a homeland. For centuries, we were your closest allies and friends. That crown of stars blazed bright upon her head. We heard your call for aid, Lysandra began weeping, and we have come to answer it. How many? Aedion breathed. How many? Pride and awe filled the Witch Queen's face. See for yourself as she pointed towards the staghorns. And then, breaking from between the peaks, they appeared. Red cloaks flowing on the wind, they filled the northern skies, so many he could not count them, nor the swords and bows and weapons. Thousands of them descended upon Orynth. Thousands of them now swept over the city, his soldiers gaping upward at the stream of fluttering red, undaunted and untroubled by the enemy force darkening the horizon. One by one, they alit upon the empty castle battlements, an aerial legion to challenge the Iron Teeth. The Krakens had returned at last. Chapter 81. Just read everything from Manon. Just anything Manon related. Always read it. If you haven't read it, go back. If you're just listening, go back and read it. Everything that is Manon related. Just all of it. Anywhere she's involved.
Get a Kindle, get the book, search Manon's name, and just read.
Always perfect.
She brings 5,000 witches. She's got
and the 13, which is like 60 by themselves.
Yep. I'd say it's like 1,000.
Yeah.
Like just 1,000 people. Morath has completely stopped. They stopped moving. She's got 5,000 witches with her and the 13. Morath completely halted, and Astrid says to Manon that her grandmother is with them, that she can feel it. And Manon says, I know. We shall handle the Iron Teeth, she says to Aedion. And Aedion says, by all means, go right ahead.
He's like, sounds great.
Sick.
We were already over our head, so.
Yep.
Feel
she
free.
Says, we shall be on your castle battlements. I'll leave one of my sentinels here with you, should you need to send word. And leaves, and says, that basically is like, I will leave Vesta in case you need to communicate. And then she looks at fucking Darrow, and she says, you're welcome. With a snap of the reins, she was airborne. And I have never been so happy in my life. That is my favorite shit. You're welcome, Darrow. Now fuck off. Goodbye.
Now let us go do what we do best.
So good.
Essentially,
you got
like, essentially Morath has paused. The Valg soldiers have paused because they're like, oh, fuck. And Grandma's like, wait a minute, we have to reassess. Because now, my granddaughter, who pretty much trained all of these witches and know all of their patterns, are here to fight against us. So we gotta, like,
the witches
pause.
that they emulated everything after.
Correct.
And are the best at executing it. So
number one. Like, the A team of witches are against the entirety. Like, they trained all of them.
Yeah.
So, not great. Grandma, scared, I'm sure.
Should be.
So, Morath, they all kind of pause. And we get an extra day. So, you know, it buys us another day.
Everybody gets to have a nap.
You know, whatever. So, Manon and her 13 go to where their bedrolls are at this point. And they go to rest. They kind of have their little pep talk.
They talk about the fact that, like, they might be fighting family members tomorrow.
Yeah, Manon tells the 13 that, like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to fight against your own kind if you don't want to. And, of course, the 13 being the 13 was like, abso-fucking-lutely not. Like, we're with you till the end. Like, there's no... You are our family. Who gives a shit who they are anymore? Because they're fighting against us.
Yeah. Vesta says that she'd expected at least some of them from the Ferian Gap to join them. And Ghislaine says they don't understand what we even offered them, which is so heartbreakingly true.
Mm-hmm.
They literally can't conceptualize the idea of what was even offered to them and why it would matter.
Manon says to each of them, I would rather fly with you than with 10,000 iron teeth at my side. She smiled slightly. Tomorrow we will show them why. Manon returned the gesture, bowing her head as she did. We are the 13, she said, from now until the darkness claims us. This is when Evangeline sees the 13 for the first time, too. And Evangeline's like, I want to be a witch.
Evangeline had decided that she no longer wished to be page to Lord Darrow, but rather a Kraken witch. One of the women even went so far as to give the wide-eyed girl an extra red cloak, which Evangeline was still wearing when Lysandra tucked her into bed. Can I have one? I want one. Where did she get it? Can I have one?
Love that Evangeline is just... She's just a girl. Like, she literally is just a girl in this, like, mess of the world. And every single person that she interacts with treats her as just a girl. She's just a girl. So she goes to the 13, who is, like...
She's the most badass women around her.
She goes to the 13, who are, like, the deadliest witches.
Yep. Terrifying.
And they just are like, you're one of us now. Here's a cloak.
You're so cute. You want a cloak? Have a cloak.
And she's like,
one of us.
Sounds great. I want to do that. That sounds
great.
Cool.
Can I be a witch?
It's fantastic. It's so good. So good. Eventually, Lysandra... I think Evangeline, like, finally falls asleep. So then Lysandra goes to Aedion.
Mm-hmm. She goes to find him. Thinking, because she can't sleep, because he confessed his love for her. Mm-hmm. And then they didn't have a conversation after that. Because they don't talk about important things. Well, sorry. Aedion doesn't talk about important things. He avoids them.
She also kind of avoids them, but she avoids them in a different manner. She avoids them in, like, a sassy way.
She avoids them because she's pissed at him. She was very open to not avoiding them. And then he fucked up. And now she's like, I'm not going to forgive you that easy.
Yeah.
Which is basically what she says. She goes to see him, and neither of them can sleep. And she says, I thought we were going to die today. And he says we were. And she blurts out, I'm still angry with you, but his eyes rose, light she had not seen for some time shining in his face. But she scowled. But I shall think about what you said to me, that's all. A familiar, wicked grin graced his lips. You'll think about it? Lysandra lifted her chin, looking down her nose at him as much as she could while he towered over her. Yes, I will think about it, what I plan to do. About the fact that I'm in love with you. He knew that swaggering arrogance would knock her off kilter, if that's what you want to call it. Is there something else I'm supposed to call it? Just don't die tomorrow. That's all I ask. So you can have time to think about what you plan to do with my declaration. Precisely. May I ask something of you then? I don't think you're in a position to make requests, but fine. If I don't die tomorrow, may I kiss you when the day is done? Lysandra's face heated as she pulled back, yielding a step. She was a trained courtesan, gods above, highly trained, and yet the simple request reduced her knees to wobbling. She mastered herself, squaring her shoulders. If you don't die tomorrow, Aedion, then we'll talk, and see what comes of it. Aedion's wolfish grin didn't so much as falter. Until tomorrow night, then. Ha!
It's so good.
It's so great. Also, are we surprised that Lysandra is into consent? Like, at all. I'm surprised. She's surprised that what gets her going is him asking her before he does anything.
Mm-hmm. Not expecting it because she's a courtesan or whatever.
Right.
Just
This
so good.
shouldn't, it's just a kiss. I'm like, that's not the thing that got you going, fam. Not the kiss part, the
Yep.
ask part.
We go to
So
the
cute.
next chapter, which I think is the best little Easter egg to exist Easter egging, because we're back to Dorian. And remember, before he flew away from Morath under the guise of being a wyvern. So he is shifted to wyvern.
Mm-hmm.
He is now just flying. He has finally found a place to like pause, reprieve. He ate something, had a rabbit, quick little thing, drank some water. And as he's there,
and then just does a quick summoning.
Yeah, he summons Gavin because he's like, I might not be able to talk to you ever again, and I have the third word key, and now I have to figure out what I'm going to do with these 3 word keys.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a little chat.
He calls her to give him a chance to say goodbye to her, because he's like, I have everything. It's going to happen now. And I'm telling you this as a warning to like be prepared.
So that you know. Yeah. Which I think is very sweet.
He also says, I was hoping that I will find her. I suppose then we'll decide what to do. Talking about finding Aelin.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm hoping she might have come up with another solution.
Yeah. Gavin asks essentially like, so you are okay with you are now losing your life to force the lock in place of Aelin.
Yeah. Like asking if he's the one that's going to be sacrificed.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm hoping she's come up with another solution. And one for Alina as well.
Yeah, so that
and Gavin says, thank you for even considering it.
Yeah.
And he says that he's sorry for what success with the lock will mean for the both of you. And Gavin says, my mate made her choice long ago. She was always prepared to face the consequences, even if I was not. Which is so sweet. Gavin tells him not to give up on life, and that he would take everything that he had with Elena again, even with the ending that they're going to have. Because a good life is worth living. Which is so sweet. He says, I will take care of Otterlin for whatever time I have left. I will not abandon it. The sword glowed warm. And Gavin, despite the loss that loomed for him, smiled slightly. I know. I have always known that.
And as this happens, Gavin glances up at the sky. His dark brows narrowed. You need to go. Saying it to Dorian.
Yep.
And as the sky is darkening, they realize that it is filled with thousands of wings. A bunch of wyverns are flying. And this is when Dorian decides, I guess this might be my way in. And he, as a wyvern, just kind of puts himself into this pack.
Slips in with the pack.
Yep. No one noticed a lone wyvern just minutes later in the sky with them. Just, nope. No one noticed as he just kind of tacked himself on. So the wyverns that are where Aelin is and all of them, or not Aelin, the wyverns where Aedion is and the Kraken and all of them, Dorian's in the back of the pack on the bad guy side.
He could already be there.
He's there. They're flying in to them. He's just there as a wyvern.
He destroys Morath. The timeline is basically he destroys Morath. They book it. All the wyverns are like, okay, we gotta go now because there's nothing else left to do. They fucking blew the shit up. Gotta go to Oakwald. All of the wyverns go, and then now the timeline has like caught up to the Oakwald.
We're essentially like a little bit before the we think we're a little bit
this
before
chapter timeline wise. We think it actually goes a little bit before the chapter before when all of the
witches appear.
When all the witches show up. So Dorian might show up very soon. Mm-hmm. We have no idea how far behind. Well, they can't be
too far behind.
They can't be too far behind because it would have been however long it took for them to... Because Vernon hadn't been in the mountains for very long.
Mm-mm.
And he had left right when Maeve got there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not going to be far behind. Dorian will probably get there first because he's fucking booking it as a Wyvern. And they're bringing a whole ass army. So Aelin and team are going to take a minute, but... We're all moving in the right direction?
Yeah. So, essentially, Dorian is heading towards where Manon and the 13 are.
Yay.
Just, he happens to be on the wrong side of the line that they're holding.
It'll be
currently.
fine.
But it's fine. He's incognito. They don't know he's there.
Yep.
It's fine.
He'll figure it out. He'll turn into a fly and fly over or something.
Yeah. That or Grandma's gonna fucking figure something out. I don't know. We're gonna pretend Grandma's not there. She's not powerful.
She's gonna be dead soon.
She's weak and nothing.
It'll be okay. Maybe she'll do the yielding and then we'll be fucking rid of her. That'll be great.
Well, she's probably stronger than some of the other witches, so I don't know.
No, she's too, she thinks too highly of herself to do a yielding.
Yeah, you're right.
Because the Iron Teeth think that a yielding is fucking weak or some shit.
Yeah.
We go back to the
POV
war, and Manon and the group are preparing for battle, and they had like made armor for the wyverns, and Manon's like, that's too heavy, that's not gonna work. Like, their thing is stealth and speed and shit, so the extra armor to protect
thank you so
them,
much.
that's cool, but that's gonna really defeat the purpose of how we fight, so we're good. Bronwyn and Glennis show up, and they're like, we're
armed
here,
and
we're
ready.
fucking ready. And Manon's like, are you sure you want to fight, Glennis? Glennis is like, I'm sorry, but my family made this mistake once before of, like, not fighting for shit that they should have, and they will carry that forever. So, no, I'm fighting. I will stand for this. And she calls it the final stand of the Krakens. Which is so cool, and also, it better not be.
Mm-hmm. Essentially, right now, everyone is going into, like, their places. So, like,
yeah, because now they're actually...
and the Krakens, they're like...
They've delayed the battle multiple days. They were, like, gonna fight, and then they destroyed the towers. And then they were gonna fight, and then the witches arrived. And then now they're like, okay, we're actually gonna do it this time.
Yeah. So, Manon is essentially getting, like, the Krakens into place. She's getting the 13 into place. She's getting kind of everyone in their locations. Pretty much Bronwyn and Glennis are, like, the head. Like, she has them as, like, the head of the Kraken army, so that, like, she relays information to them, and then they relay it within that group, while she is leading the 13, because, like, obviously Manon can't be in two places at one time, but they all are technically gonna follow under Manon's order in this fight, which is fantastic. We then switch over to Lysandra, who is being escorted by the Bane through the tunnels. Not because she's leaving, but because she is going to be her little sea dragon bad self, and she's going
into
to
the river.
in the river, which is on, like, the eastern or west, some flank of the Valg army that's in front of them. So the Florine, is kind of difficult to see in. So she's going to be, like, kind of incognito in the water, waiting for her signal. So she's there, sea dragon form. Then we switch back to Aedion and Ren, who are on the battlements, because, you know, siege towers and all. So they have the ladders that are going up to try to get into the walls of Orynth. And Aedion, Ren, and, like, a whole troop of people are there with arrows, and they're taking soldiers, like, picking them off the ladders. Like, that is their goal. They're ready to fight. Everyone is essentially in their positions. Like, this whole chapter 84 is, like, positioning themselves for the fight that's coming.
And as one, the army gathered on the city walls and did the same. Let's make this fight worthy of a song, Aedion said. And then the battle begins.
Yes.
Manon and the 13 shoot to the skies and immediately go to work on the Iron Teeth.
Yeah.
Essentially,
So Manon tells the 13 and tells the Krakens, like, hey, this is how the Iron Teeth work. They have to be the best of the best. So, to be the best of the best, they have to defeat the best of the best. So, myself and my 13, we're going to go this direction to kind of see who's going to try to just come after us to be like, hey, we killed Manon, kind of thing. She, of course, is hoping that it's Iskra Yellowlegs, because fuck that bitch. And guess what? Iskra falls for the fucking bait. Because
surprise,
Manon and her 13
there, and she's
go
stupid.
over here. Iskra and 50 other iron or Yellowlegs Iron Teeth witches follow
and
her.
Wyverns, yeah.
And Wyvern. So it's like
maybe the only smart
50
decision she
of them
makes. Yeah,
she has
to
50
bring
deep.
a fuckload.
So 50 deep of the witches go just after Manon and the 13, while the 5,000 Krakens go after the others. Which is, honestly, I like these odds.
They'll be fine.
I'm okay with this. So I just like that. I thought it was great that Manon was like, so here's how it's gonna go. Iskra is likely gonna come after me and the 13. So we're gonna put ourselves over here to distract them and bait them over here so that you can deal with the rest of them over here. And then we'll get rid of them and then we'll come help you. But, like, we have to do this
distract
first.
them with
Because,
their bloodlust.
Essentially, the baddest of the bad will come after us, and we can handle them very easily because we train them. So, like, it's fine.
Lysandra's in the fucking water, just destroying shit and
Doing
being
sea dragon
a
shit.
dragon of chaos. She also says sea dragon. She's like, maybe river dragon, because I'm in a river.
It's a river, like, yeah.
Okay, Lysandra, you're adorable. Carry on. Yeah, she uses the river is curved, and she uses that to her advantage by fucking leaping out of the river on the curved parts and fucking smashing into people's bodies and then going back into the river, which sounds sick as fuck. I need this to be a TV show so goddamn bad, or a movie, or just something. I want, please.
I just want the fight scene of Lysandra. Like, I just want someone
so dope.
Make these scenes.
It sounds so sick.
Yeah, essentially
so she's
she
down
like
there
takes out
ass,
a bunch of shit
fighting.
and pulls them into the water where they die because it's cold.
Ugh.
Meanwhile, while she's in the river and like the Krakens are fighting above,
yep,
she makes a note of like anytime a Kraken hit the water and was still alive, she like escorted them. What they thought as the sea dragons just like escorting them to the shore, unsure. But then anytime an Iron Teeth witch appeared in the water, they magically got dragged down to the bottom and held there until they died. Yep. Just like, oh, fuck. So it's just like they hit the water and Lysandra's like, nope, you're not going back up there. Thank you.
Krakens
Goodbye.
who thrashed, who were still alive, Lysandra covertly carried to the shore. The Iron Teeth who fell into the river were dragged to the bottom and pinned to the rocks. Fuck yeah.
Oh, shit.
It then says she'd had to look away each time she did it. Don't worry about it. We're fine with it. Carry on.
We're okay. You could have looked.
I just like the idea of like a
this.
big sea dragon, like just taking like, a tiny shoop and then just putting a rock on top of them and then going away.
See you later.
Bye. What a terrible witch death.
Yeah.
Witches are dying by drowning.
Ooh. Yikes.
How poetic.
Another thing that they note is that because of how the fluorine, like how it's dark and then now it's getting filled with kind of like witch blood and valg blood and everything, it's very hard for the valg to see her. So essentially, she is able to push the valg away from the river, like, and push them inward on themselves because they couldn't figure out what was taking them out, essentially, because she was being so stealthy. So they like move away from the river, essentially, and like pin themselves closer together. So like she's slightly funneling them into a center point, which we like. This is great.
Mm-hmm. We go to Aedion, who's on the battlements, fighting away. They're focused on the ladders still, and they're doing a decent job. He's a little concerned when he hears Rolfe yell, "Conserve fire," which means that they're running out of the resources that they need to keep the fire lances going, which shouldn't be that much of a surprise because they used like a fuckload of it to make those big pits that destroyed 2 witch towers. So trade-off, I think, was worth it, but a little scary and unfortunate. He's still commanding the archers, and they're just raining like fire arrows down as much as they can, and they have like big boulders that they can like set on fire and Fae to help them like launch them like catapults.
Yeah, they essentially cover these rocks in oil and then catapult them out. And as they're going out, the Fae like use their fire magic to like light them aflame so that they just fucking annihilate just like large swaths of valg soldiers at a time. So good.
They like successfully destroy like a bunch of shit with these catapults and flaming boulders, and they get really excited. Like a cheer goes up throughout the ranks, and Aedion is like, shut the fuck up, we don't want them to know how much of this we have. Like, don't give us away, which I think was hilarious.
They end up doing, it was like 2 waves, and then he pretty much is like reposition and like hold fire for a little bit, because it's like they want the valg soldiers to think, oh, we've run out. That's all we got.
That's
Sorry.
It. Oh no, dang.
Too bad. Until more come in, and then they'll take out more, essentially. But like for now, it's like they did catapult this way, okay, reposition, and like hold fire for a little bit.
After this, he turns back to the siege ladder, and climbing up the top of the siege ladder is a young man with a fucking collar around his throat. A valg prince has arrived. And Aedion is like, I got this, because this man has to put himself in harm's way above everyone else. So he goes to deal with that dude.
Yeah, he just 1v1s a valg prince. No biggie.
Yep. So he goes to fight the valg prince and is like fighting him with his sword, and the valg prince like prepares like a blast basically, and Aedion like holds his shield up knowing that it's not gonna fucking do anything, and yet for some reason it does something. He like prepares for, I don't get this part. I still don't understand it. I really hope that it gets explained a little bit more later. I know that they explained it a little bit, but I'm like, there's gotta be more, right?
There's little
he holds
pockets
the shield
of this
and like
shield.
prepares for it to be
melted.
Like, feel the like bad
power
come through it, and it reflects it.
Yeah.
Or not reflects it, but like almost absorbs it. Like it doesn't do anything. He doesn't
does
get
nothing
hit with it.
To
the
Aedion
shield
at all.
Works against the magic, which it shouldn't, because that's not.
Yeah,
it's Rose shield.
Yeah, this whole time the valg prince is pissed because his magic is just bouncing off this shield.
Yeah, so then he's pissed,
mad, and the internal dialogue of Aedion's brain is like, it's just a steel shield. Like, it's Rose shield. There's no magic in this shield. It was all based on the beholder or whatever the fuck. But it's like, bitch, how?
There was no magic in it. Brannon had never bore it, but one of them had forged it. One of the unbroken line of kings and queens who'd come after him, who had loved their kingdom more than their own lives, who had carried this shield into battle, into war to defend Terrasen. It's like he describes it as wondering if there was a different sort of power in the metal, one that the valg could never and would never understand. Not true magic, not as Brannon and Aelin had, but something just as stronger. Are you telling me that like the shield is powered with the magic of love or some shit? Or extreme fealty to your country and the need to defend it? Like, maybe it's some power of the land shit, where it's like, it's imbued with some amount of magic that the like land of Terrasen is like, that is used to defend us on a regular basis, or let's just make it a little more powerful. That I could be okay with. That's the only thing I've come up with literally just now that makes sense in my brain. That isn't super cheesy.
I don't think it's like love. I think it's going to be similar to, like, Tower of Dawn, how they found out that, like, this burial site, because it was a bunch of healers, like, the land itself had healing magic of
That's why I'm
some
saying,
form.
yeah.
So it's, like, something like that.
That's why I'm saying I hope it, like, I would like more explanation a little later, please. Doesn't have to be right now. I know we're busy, but, like, a little more would be great.
This is the second time, though, we've had this conversation of, like, the Sword of Orynth is just an average sword, and it's, like, based on the beholder. No. But yet, Darrow took it and was like, this powerful thing, but Aedion, you're not allowed to have it. It's mine now. It's the same idea with this shield, that it's just like the sword and shield. Maybe if Aedion had his fucking sword still, the two of these things together could just be, like, unstoppable. I do like that the valg called him a fey bastard, which I thought was hilarious.
That was great.
Because he, like, blocks it and he's like, fey bastard, as if, like, he counteracted
as if Aedion has
magic,
and Aedion's like, I don't fucking know what just happened. What do you want? What are you yelling at me for?
Like, I'm just trying to not die right now, brother. Please.
Yeah. So they fight. The valg is getting increasingly more pissed that he can't fight through his shield. So instead he uses a different tactic, which is just unfortunately being smarter than Aedion for a split second. Baits Aedion into a move that, like, makes him extend his stored arm, and the valg stabs.
Like, exposes him.
Yeah, stabs Aedion, like, in the armpit where his armor is not.
Essentially found a gap and hits that gap with a dagger.
Not
Luckily,
great at all.
Ren appears.
Yeah, Aedion's in a really fucking shit position, gets knocked to the ground, and then Ren is like, don't, like, the valg is about to, like, deliver the killing blow, and Aedion just looks at him, and then an arrow appears in the neck of the valg. And he looks at where the arrow came from, and Ren is like, hey, gotcha, we're good.
Aedion panted, a hand going to his bleeding side. I had him. Ren only shook his head and pivoted on a boot, unleashing the fire lance he held upon the other valg soldiers that appeared.
Yeah, because Ren shoots an arrow through his neck and then somehow acquires a fire lance and then fucking blows up the valg prince.
The other ones that show up.
And just ashes fall. And then Aedion's like, I got it, I was fine. And he's like, yeah, okay, as he continues to shoot the rest of
fire
the...
lances.
He's like, yeah, alright, whatever.
Like, yeah, you're doing great, bud. The Lord of Aldbrich turned back to him, mouth open to say something, but Aedion's head swam, his body plunging into a coldness he'd never known. Then there was nothing. So similar to Lorcan just being like, there was nothingness. Here we are. Aedion is bleeding a lot.
This is what close to death looks like. Nothingness.
Blackness.
Great.
Done. What has to be my least favorite part of this entire book happens next. At least so far.
I honestly didn't think this was going to hit you this hard.
See, this gives me another, Darrow gets another point. He gets one more point in this moment.
Yep.
Because we go to Evangeline, who is, by all accounts, like, taking her task very seriously. It's giving her a purpose. She is going to, Killian? I almost said Kaltain.
Yep.
That's not who I meant. She is going to Killian's messenger, giving Killian's messenger messages. He's coming back. And in this moment, Killian's message... Job. Yeah, she's doing her job. She's doing the thing. So she is with Darrow in his office, like, waiting for the next thing. Instead of Killian's messenger going to her directly, this time, honestly, great. In this moment, you do not go to Evangeline with this information. Killian's messenger comes, goes directly to Darrow, and essentially says that Aedion has been hit. He has been gravely injured. He's not dead, but he has been gravely injured. And the healers are doing what they can in the location that, like, he is currently before they are able to move him. So essentially, he cannot be moved at this exact moment. But the healers are with him.
He says it, like, to her. Because he says to the commanders that Aedion's been injured. And then Evangeline says, like, is he going to be all right? like not even paying attention to the fact that she just like interrupted him in a big like war room. And
the two other
explains
lords
all of this
ignored
to
her.
Yeah.
And essentially says, he has lost consciousness. They have moved him into a building near the wall. Healers are working on him as we speak. They will move him here as soon as he is capable of withstanding it. Evangeline staggered to the balcony rail, as if she might see the building amid the sea of chaos by the city walls. Darrow?
Read the next bit too.
She had never had a brother or a father. She hadn't yet decided which one she would like Aedion to be. And if he was so injured that it warranted a message to Darrow. She pressed a hand to her stomach, trying to contain the bile that burned her throat. Murmuring sounded, and then there was a hand on her shoulder. This is, of course, Darrow actually redeeming. This is another moment where he's redeeming himself. Lord Gunnar will see to delivering my reply, Darrow said. You will remain here with me. I might have need of you. The words were stern, but the hand on her shoulder was kind. Evangeline only nodded, sick and miserable, and clung to the balcony rail, as if her grip might somehow keep Aedion on this side of life. Hot refreshments, Sloane, Darrow ordered, his voice brooking no room for argument. The other lord peeled away. Evangeline didn't know how long time had passed. Darrow pressed a scalding mug into her fingers. Drink. Evangeline obeyed, finding it to be broth of some sort. Beef, maybe. She didn't care. Her friends were down there. Her family. The one she'd made. Far out, near the river, a blur of motion was her only indication that Lysandra still lived. No word arrived about Aedion's fate, so Evangeline lingered on the tower, Darrow silent beside her, and prayed.
And that's the end of the episode. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I promise. When I'm sorry, but I promise there was a good reason for why.
I know.
It had to be here. I swear to Christ, okay? It had to be here.
It's just...
I'm so sorry.
I don't blame you. That didn't need to exist at all. We could have been fine leaving it at Aedion fades to black.
Yeah.
I didn't need a point where Evangeline was impacted in any part.
No. Yeah.
She didn't need to find out. She could have found out later.
We didn't need to read her finding out.
She's distracted. She's being distracted. She's working for Darrow. We're messaging back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been like, hey, Darrow, I gotta tell you something. I gotta tell you a secret over here. And then Darrow could have been like, hey, Evangeline, I need you to go do a thing. Go get something over here. And then Darrow now knows. It's like, okay, Evangeline, you're gonna stay here. We're gonna do things here now. Just stay in this room. You're not gonna leave. You're gonna be at my side. She could have found out later when he was healed. Not now. While he's still on the battlefield. While things are happening.
Got work to do. Part of me likes it because she's part of the, like, he doesn't hide the stuff from her just to protect her in that way. Or that she's not strong enough to deal with it. That's the only bit that I'll give him in terms of, like, just only with Evangeline. He's so fucking shit to everybody else. But weirdly, with Evangeline, it's like, he respects, but he respects her enough to, like, give her all of the information.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, like, seems out of character for Darrow, unless you, like, think about it, about the fact that he's, like, doesn't necessarily believe that they should be treated like children in this scenario and, like, protected, like, to be informed and involved.
Yeah, you get the same thing from Darrow when we get little mini flashbacks to, like, Aedion as a child. And, like, Darrow
Yeah.
really did. Like, Aedion defended Darrow a little bit, and Ren defended Darrow a little bit at the very beginning of, like, well, he's the reason we only saw what
It
we
is.
saw.
He is the reason that and it's also the reason that Terrasen has lasted as long as they did.
Mhm.
Like, Terra does get that credit.
Yeah.
It's just everything since when Aelin came back, he's been
Yeah.
a bit of a dick.
Darrow's interaction with Aelin and her existence
Mm-hmm.
and her, like, you know, potential
It
throne.
pisses me off so much that he blames at the time, 18-year-old girl for hiding the way that she did. Or surviving the way that she did. But he thinks that it's just been hiding this whole time. That pisses me off and will always piss me off.
She was 8. 8 years old.
And she's the adult. Like, he's the adult. And should...
What did he expect an 8-year-old to do? To survive?
He's doing Chaol shit.
Yeah.
That's Chaol shit. But Chaol at least gets the, like, alright, fine, you're, like, not an adult. You have the
Chaol at
emotional
least was
maturity
also
of
a kid.
Fucking 12-year-old, so it's fine.
He was also a child at the time.
Yep.
To be fair. So
he's
allowed to have
20s?
that reaction.
Because he's
I
like
think
22
he's 2 years
or
older
22
than
or something like that.
Aelin.
Yeah.
So essentially still a child.
Not significantly different.
No, she was 19 and he was like 21.
But
so, like,
Darrow and Chaol handled it the same way, which was fucking stupid.
Yeah, and Darrow's what, 50?
Something like that. Too old to fight. 60. I don't know.
I don't know. Manon is like 550 and she's still fighting, so.
She's not fucking human. Okay, hold on.
It's fine. If Manon can do it.
That is different.
No.
No.
I still think my favorite moment is Manon just being like, yeah, I'm here not for you. I'm here for Aelin, so you can get
I'm here
fucked.
because Aelin asked. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
I love it so much. It makes me so happy.
It's the same. It was the same interaction of like when all the people showed up and Lysandra was like when they all said like we are here to aid Aelin.
Yep.
Like, and Darrow's
came
like,
here
the fuck?
for the Queen of Terrasen.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, we don't recognize that title.
Yeah.
You can go. And then that was when he tried to like be like, you guys don't have to be here. Aedion's like, okay, hold on, shut the fuck up, please.
He's like, you
can
go.
be pissy that they're here for her, but you definitely shouldn't send them away right now, thanks.
Anywho, so we end
That's it.
this section there.
Yay.
Our next section is chapters 87 to 99. For those
We've only
reading
got
along.
3 more. 3 more.
Yep.
There you go.
3 more. Because it's 87 to 99, 100 to 111, and then 112 to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Which is technically 122.
Something like that. Yeah. It's exciting.
It's the final 100 pages.
Is
More than
it?
that. No, it's more than that.
No, it's not.
It's more than that.
We're only at
Page-wise.
700. Oh my god, we have
720. But this whole book,
300 and we have 350 pages left. What do you mean?
this whole book is how Sarah J. Maas writes the final 200 pages.
Yeah.
So essentially, this is actually her final 200 pages.
1,000
writing.
pages of anxiety and fear.
Uh-huh.
It's great. Thanks
Thanks, everyone.
for checking us out. And we hope that you enjoyed your time. You can always find us at the Smut Peddlers on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok for additional content.
Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.